Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. All right. What is up, everybody? How are you doing? So, Arcadum is a D&D Twitch streamer who has had over 20 Twitlongers made on them over the past couple days. I have spent about 8 hours reading as many allegations as I can. We've only went up to 14. Today we will be reading the rest of them, but Arcadum has made a response. So how is he going to respond to the 20 allegations of sexual harassment, many of which are credible, some of which are not as credible, but a lot of them are very credible? So how the hell is he going to respond? Let's read it. Third stream in a row? Hell yeah. Hopefully this will be the last one. As of yesterday, we had about 5 more Twitlongers to go, excluding this Arcadum one. Arcadum. I'm trying to say his name right. But there might be more. YouTube chat keeps informing me that there is more. So let's check out his response. My response to everyone. The past few days have been difficult. My bad. Just let me get a drink of water. Are you gonna make a YouTube summary of this? Maybe. We don't know. I don't know yet. Alright. My response. To everyone. The past few days have been a difficult time for a lot of people, including my friends, family, and the entire community as a whole. For me, it has also been a time of personal reflection. And to give some context, Arcadum, he is probably one of the most prevalent figures in the D&D roleplay and VR chat community, specifically more so D&D. I think he's the biggest Twitch streamer that does D&D. Obviously, that's a very community-based thing. You talk to a lot of people, so this is going to have a lot of rippling effects, more so than most other YouTubers that would get exposed. He continues by saying, there have been many stories and feelings shared about some of my actions over the years within the D&D community. I have been processing a lot and want to address matters as best as I can. I realize I will not be able to repair much of the damage that has been done or properly share my full perspective, but I owe an explanation and apology to all those affected, which happens to be like 20 people or more. If we count people that he didn't directly, interact with inappropriately, but his business partners that were affected by this, it probably goes upwards to like 50 to 100, who knows. The truth is I have developed and engaged in a wide range of relationships with people over the years, some of them leading into sexual territories and times when I made mistakes and was selfish. I never sought out relationships purely for sexual purposes, and to be absolutely clear, I have never engaged in non-consensual activity. These were relationships that were developed as genuine friendships. I greatly valued these friendships and still do. Yet, I have been unfair to many of them, and I am sorry for the hurt I have caused them. In addition to being unfair to my friends, I have also been unfair to my wife, Tiffany. Last week, Tiffany became aware of these relationships and my communication with people that crossed boundaries within our marriage. Understandably, she was heartbroken. And I tried to do as much as I can and I tried to do as much as I could to salvage the situation. This included attempting to edit and delete messages that I had exchanged with different people, as well as reaching out to them to explain I would not be able to continue any sort of professional or personal association. This was a painful experience, and as a result, I have learned and reckoned with many of the mistakes I have made. One of the things I regret the most is how I've hurt people who I greatly cared for over the course of many years. People I confided in, and who confided in me. These are people who have helped me overcome personal challenges when I needed their support, and who I have shared truly meaningful experiences with. It has become clear that I've betrayed those relationships, and again, I am deeply sorry for that. I want to be clear and encourage everyone to support Tiffany during this time. Tiffany has been my trusted friend, my truest friend, even with my mistakes and all of the ups and downs. She has shown me a lot of grace over the years. She will always be a part of me, and I will always love her. To those who have been reaching out, I am sorry that I have been unresponsive. I don't know where to begin in explaining everything or apologizing to so many of you I have let down. I've removed myself from Callous Row, Vernum, and other D&D spaces as I do not want to cause any further harm in a community that means so much to me. I will not be streaming as I continue to reflect on my actions and seek therapy for personal issues I have struggled with for some time. In the meantime, I wish nothing but the best for everyone involved in this situation and the wider community. Arcadum. So that's his response to 20 Twitlongers. Obviously, you can't go into specifics, but yeah, there you go. People probably not that happy with it. Pocket says, I'm sorry you got caught. I swear I love my wife despite masturbating over 10 women online and gaslighting/lying to her so she wouldn't leave my toxic gas. Dude, no, you genuinely give love and friendship a bad name. I'm beyond disgusted, sad, and disappointed. So yeah, people are not having it. That's the only response. You know, took about 8 hours. We're not done with the allegations quite yet. 8-minute response. 8 minutes to read this response, or 5 minutes. Wow. All right. I guess it's time to read the rest of these Twitlongers, huh? Okay. Here we go. Twitlonger number 15. From his friend, his best friend at the time, Steer. I hate that I have to write this, but I think a lot of people will want to hear from me on the matter. I'm trying to say his name right. Arcadum. I've been friends with Arcadum since before the beginning of his rise on Twitch, and done what I can to help him along his way. I've played in more of his games than anyone else, and he is grateful for all that I have done to help him achieve success. I'm somewhat torn between being there to support him and make sure he can make it through this okay. Stir. It's pronounced stir. Okay, I'll say stir. But also being far too familiar with the behavior several other Twitlongers have described. Supporting him feels like being part of his statistical analysis on how many people he can keep close solely for his own preservation. Now, what he's referring to here is something that Arcadum mentioned in the Naomi call, which I will just repeat here for people who are a little out of the loop. So just give me 1 second. All right. Here's a clip from that call to get an idea of who Arcadum is.
It is actually, I believe it is 17.8% of the people that I run D&D for will continue to be my friends once the game is done. I have that number for you. I have made that calculation. I have made that calculation 4 separate occasions. The evidence is empirical. So, sorry, but that statement that do you think they'll stop being your friends is actually yes, as much as you might not like it to be. We don't live in a world of what we'd like to be. We live in a world of realities, and that's the reality of it, is that 17.8% of you will not talk to me again.
Wait, 17.
Will continue to be my friend. I believe it is 48% of you won't talk to me ever again.
Wait, what about the other percent?
Passing messages, not a real friendship. Now, those numbers are probably going to be more bloated onto the passivity due to my position as a streamer. I haven't done the recalculations based off of that yet, but I can tell you unequivocally that the use of D&D in order to make friends has a 17.8% retention rate. That's the tragedy that I live. 17.8%.
Okay. Well, have you thought about why though? Because
no, of course I have, Naomi. Please. Yes, I have. I have augmented behaviors. I have done experiments to determine why. I have tried to pick different ethnicities. I've tried to do different
ethnicities. Okay, so he's literally calculating friendships. All right, this guy is a little fucked in the head, to say the least. And when that combines with, cheating on your wife with 20 people online, it causes some issues, which is why all of this is coming out. Anyways, continuing on with Stirs, Twitlonger, he says, when something dramatic happens in Arcadum's life, he would occasionally speak to me for advice or emotional support, not unlike how others have described the situation, but with the twist that I'm not a woman. I was, however, aware that I was not the only person he'd go to for emotional support when he needed it. It seemed like he would make the rounds, go one by one, go through people he knew he could talk to, and have the same conversations with all of them in order to collect enough pity to momentarily feel better. I knew many of these people seemed to be women. Something I was naive enough to infer was because women may have just been easier and more receptive to talk about these problems with. So now I'm left with what was actually said and done when talking to those other people. I'm shocked to see how these similar conversations have a darker lining when they were had with women he was attracted to and financially supporting. I think it is very brave for them to speak up, because I now fully understand how hard that can be. I know how hard he can be to confront. I've tried at times to have very simple conversations with him that confront some of his unrelated behavior, which he immediately amps up to 100% pity, to the point where it's not even worth engaging any further. I once brought up how his reactions while DMing a D&D a game can cause a player to stop asking questions or encourage them to not bring up things they cared about, because he would be incredulous at the idea that the player is accusing him of forgetting something, which often was the case, and players brought up less and less because of said reactions. He went to 100%. He said he should just stop running games and deserves nothing due to this slip-up. He capped it off with a group of messages that are quite poetic to the situation in hindsight. He says, "You said I am very good at shutting people down, and that is fucking with me. because that makes me out to be a supreme asshole. And if I am a supreme asshole, then I don't deserve the things I have, because I never wanted to earn anything with dishonor. Very, very ironic. I really wanted to see him work through this and not need so much validation, but it was an uphill battle. When seeking comfort for something his girlfriend has done, he neglected to mention all that he has done. I have been manipulated into comforting him for things he has knowingly instigated along with many other people as he goes one by one tailoring the story to each person. All while leaving out the details that implicate him, which might actually have led to any form of self-reflection and improvement. And now you need my support again because some girl is making up stories about you? You had a larger support network than anyone I've ever known by a massive margin. You were shown the most profound empathy by so many people, and it has never been enough. I've often caught myself feeling envious of how easily people are drawn into your charismatic circle, fueled by your need for sympathy and their willingness to publicly give it in order to keep you stable and content enough to keep going. I never liked it, but I hoped you'd work through these issues after enough reassurance. I hoped that one day you'd fully accept and internalize all this positivity that has been generously dumped on you by so many people. Accept yourself, your life, your circumstances, and all the people who believed in you. What you've actually done with all that goodwill is absurd, all while acting like you had nobody on your side. You have so many people who were willing to help and listen, but you confused love and compassion with sex. You are still the arrogant person from your past that you hate. You are arrogant now to believe editing Discord messages in hindsight will do you any good. You are arrogant to think people didn't notice what you were doing. We all saw one piece of the puzzle, but we haven't managed to put them all together until now because we had faith in you, and you actively made sure some people did not share puzzle pieces. I have always seen the subtlety of your manipulation, but I thought it was harmless. I can't show you support this time, but I still hope you get better on your own. I'm sorry for everyone who this has affected. So that is the statement from his ex-friend. Stir. Crystal. Don't think we've covered her story yet. This is Twitlonger number 16. The other 14 I have covered in the previous live streams. My experience working with Arcadum for 3 years. Before I begin, I would like to preface that I am physically and vocally masculine presenting. As such, I didn't receive the full brunt of what other individuals have experienced in their interaction with Arcadum. If you wish to learn about their stories, they will be in the replies to this tweet. But this here will be my story from my experience working for Arcadum as a moderator, dungeon master, administrator of discipline, art director, and YouTube manager. I would also like to take this moment to apologize to those I have wronged while working under Arcadum. Under the guise of professionalism and doing the job that was assigned to me, I have hurt people and done things I am not proud of because I either didn't see the full picture, I was trying to be fair, I was manipulated into taking Arcadum's side on the matter, or I just didn't believe them. Regardless if I'm at fault for those actions or not, they were wrong, and I will try to be better going forward. In addition, I apologize if I misconstrued any events from the early years of Vernum, as I no longer have access to those logs, so I will be working from memory. Bublex, is the stream going to be 3 hours long as well? Possibly. I do want to finish all of the Twitlongers today, so it might be 3 hours. We'll see. Moderation, discipline, and hypocrisy. I joined Arcadum's server just over 3 years ago, when he was just starting out on Twitch. I found him through Stir and fell in love with his world, his skill, and his ambition to create a living world set inside of a D&D setting. I saw the potential he had and decided that he was a man worth supporting to see his passion become a reality and a success. And the more I got to know him, well, the side he publicly presented, the more I wanted to put myself out there to help him through what I believed he could achieve. So I signed up as a moderator. I signed up to be a moderator, and that's when the first issue arose. I will not detail the names of those involved for the sake of their privacy, but the situation was that we had an issue of harassment going on between two players in the living world, which is a VR chat world, I think. One of the players, whom I will label as Melanie for ease of narrative, reported an individual harassing them in their private messages, pushing uncomfortable topics and asking where they lived. Arcadum was out on a trip when this was taking place, so de facto leadership fell to Tiffany, who called for this individual to be banned immediately. However, there was some hesitation from the mod team to act on that because A, Melanie had asked for clemency for her harasser and request that they not be banned because of her, and B, Arcadum had never told us that Tiffany would run things if he were ever absent for a fire. As such, some of the moderation was adamant in waiting for Arcadum to return to make the final call, which ultimately was what happened. We waited for Arcadum to return to make the decision, to which we decided to ban the harasser, but give some leniency by making the ban only temporary due to the clemency requested by Melanie. The harasser was eventually banned again for doing the same thing to another user, but this case set a horrible precedent that sets up the event that follows a few months later after I ascended to the role of Administrator of Discipline. The next situation has to do with another harasser by the name of Afro, and many victims he targeted on the server. There's an unlisted video on my old YouTube channel that I kept for transparency and archiving for the server, which seemed to have resurfaced due to the relevancy of the situation, which I will link here.
Before you start, can I say something?
This is 1 hour and 22 minutes. What?
If I fail, everyone leaves. Everyone loses.
This seems kind of important, but it's also 1 hour and 20 minutes. I mean, I already played a 43-minute call. I don't know. Should we listen to this right now or do it later? I'm gonna put a poll. Now or later. Or not at all. Yes, no. Not at all. Later. Wait. Listen to the 90-min call. Okay, the poll should show up soon. Put it on 1.75 speed. We could. Listen to it. How about we read the rest of this twit longer? Because if we listen to the call, we might lose the context. So let's finish this segment of the Twitlonger, and then we'll watch it on 2 times speed, okay? So let's do that. As well as the document being read details a lot of what transpired with Afro and other users, but to explain the moderation side of things, multiple users came to the mods to report Afro's behavior. They did so anonymously, as they did not make their identities potentially known to the harasser, and to keep some level of bias down for some of the members of the mod team, who may not like the reporters in questions, should their identities be known. As such, we deliberated on the evidence provided to us, speaking with both Afro and in a private meeting, neither of which I was present for, but both Arcadum and other mods were, with anonymous reporters, many of which wished to remove Afro outright, but due to the precedent established by the previous case with Melanie and her harasser, we faced with the dilemma of fairness and maintaining precedent. So Arcadum and the team that decided that out of fairness to other users also banned, that Afro's ban only be temporary as well. But this, like the previous decision, was terrible and a stupid mistake, and came to a head when Afro returned from his ban. His victims felt like they were being forced to interact with him, and in hindsight, yes, they were absolutely right. Afro had no right to being there, and it was only through the pushback from victims that he was immediately rebanned for good and policy changed going forward that such acts be intolerable, and made as admin that would be the case. However, this pushback would also consist of leaks, public attacks, and other unprofessional behavior that I only see now was warranted to get Afro's ban reenacted before he could hurt more individuals on the server. So one victim who went public, the one who posted the main document in the video above, was banned for attacking Arcadum and the mods for their decision to let Afro return. And with the victim's ban, a few others left with him in solidarity. Even with the ban being reinstated, the damage to Arcadum's image, and by association my mod team and I's image, was already done, and we had lost confidence in much of the community that day, and rightfully so. This situation was one I deeply regret having mishandled, and I don't think any of those involved will forgive me, but I apologize for not standing up for you all. I choose fairness over justice, and that's something I learned and hope to never repeat going forward. Both of these cases happened towards the early days of Arcadum's Twitch career, the first happening towards the end of Phase 1 of Living World and resolving towards the start of Phase 2, mid to late 2018. And the second case happening in Phase 2 of Living World, late 2018, early 2019. These cases serve to show the pain in that community has endured, or the pain that the community has endured, and what Arcadum should have learned to take to heart. That was the case for myself and the mod team when we removed harassers from the server without hesitance and without return going forward from those previous cases. And I thought Arcadum had also learned and grown from this experience when he booted out Chaotic, Wickwix, and I Am Spoon from his campaigns. But I know now that was painfully far from the truth. And I feel so stupid for having believed him enough from his past actions to become hesitant in believing the words of Flonica, Chica, and Cry, 3 victims that we read Twitlongers from earlier. When I first heard wind about their interactions with Arcadum, I didn't know the entire story, and what I did know was discredited by Arcadum, a master of manipulation by trade through his own admission. I can never forgive myself for not believing these individuals when they first spoke up, but I believe them now, and I, among many others, will support their voices. Arcadum has had more than enough chances to become a better person, and he chooses not to. He chose to double it down and hide and manipulate. He willingly did this from then till now, and if that isn't despicable, I don't know what is. But there's more to the story than just hypocrisy. His abuse runs deep into his business as well. And we will get to that after we check out the call that she posted in regards to this this situation. We're going to put it on 2x speed for the sake of brevity. Let's listen to this.
Before you start, can I say something real quick before people start to leave? If anyone wishes to talk to me or hear my side of it or just question me, I'm going to be sticking around in the chat. I don't particularly have any desire to get up on the soapbox, but if anyone does want to ask me what happened in the confines of what I can tell you in the mod chat, I will be sticking around after this. I'm sorry, Jake, please continue.
That's fine. I'd like a moment of your time.
Is there a way we can send our thanks and support to the staff, because we know how much hard work goes in?
The best way, if you want everyone to see it, just throw it in the suggestion box, and the mods will see it, and then they'll send it up to the DMs, and the DMs will see it on their weekly Sunday. I mean, you can just also make a regular post in chat, but that is the most guaranteed way to see it, and no one is going to be mad that there is a suggestion box thanking people.
Thank you.
There's also the Patreon, which could be a good way to thank the DMs just as a whole as well. I try to donate each month, but I have to penny pinch, so.
Oh, I feel you there. I'm broke as.
$120 a Patreon fee is pretty much it at this point.
I would ask for a moment of your time, and I apologize if I come off as angry, because I'm not, to an extent. I'm very disappointed with how this all panned out, and this is not a message reflecting of Jeremy. This is coming from me. I trust that, and I know that people appreciate the things I do, and let me tell you from experience that being told that you're right and even being told that you're making good progress is very encouraging. And I'd like to express something that you might dislike, because I see a lot of people who, for all intents and purposes, are here to watch the place burn down. Quite frankly, I have the long-standing belief of people more often wanting to be right than to be happy. If you're here spending your energy on this server wanting #justice for Enchant, or you want to be here to make memes or kick people when they're down, please, for your own health, if you're not happy here, leave, because all this, we can't make content when we're dealing with this, and for all of Enchant's concerns, and I'm not saying he's wrong on all of them, we did not know the extent of his issues with Afro, and we as DMs have, and mods, we had a 2-hour meeting about how we can prevent this from happening again, because unfortunately, we can't unhurt Enchant. And the unfortunate thing is, there were a lot of times where if people were honest with me, people who lied to my face and had been realistic, and some of these are the people who are now coming and making this an even bigger fire. If those people had been honest with me, we could have solved the situation much sooner, and maybe even had helped Enchant come over this before it became this breaking point. But that's the thing. If you're not happy here, leave.
Let's not go that far.
No.
I would say leave. I would say express, report to the mods if you have any reservations. Like, we can't know.
Okay, let me clarify. If you think a problem is solvable, by all means, talk to me, talk to the mods, talk to anyone. Don't talk to your friend group in secret, because we don't know that unless someone tells us. We want to make right by you guys. And if you can't believe that, please at least believe I want to make right by you guys, because I'm going to be honest with you. I have better fucking things to do with my time, but I do it because I love you guys and I want to make games for you. But I don't want you to stay here if you're genuinely feeling unhappy and you're only here to watch it die or to cause trouble or to be clever. Don't let what I do or what any of the DMs do keep you here, because you can have all the valid points in the world, but if you start fires, not only are you stopping that DM from making something you might love, you're also causing them problems. And if you want to cause problems for Jeremy, okay, sure. But that problem is shared by every DM on this server. And it hurts me if I could get a little Jeremy on the situation. It hurts me because I bust my ass to get stuff out, and I don't want to do it if I'm doing it for people who are just here to watch the situation burn down. Trust me, as long as you're honest about why you want to leave, I'm not going to dislike you. There's no one keeping you here. We can't punish you. I'm rambling, and it's just baffling, but this is my plea. If you have a suggestion, be honest to someone because we want to help you and we want to do right by you, and we have to do the best we can with the information we have. But if you're here to try and get some sense of justice, or if you're here as a reminder of our sins, please, please do something for yourself and let it go. You spent a lot of time on this. I spent a lot of time on this. Don't let it consume you, because there are plenty of people who I'm sure will say it's consumed me and it's not healthy.
Hey, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question specifically for you.
What's
or any other DM. Have you ever expressed your doubts anywhere? Have you ever thought that you're not good enough? But then someone, even in Arcadum, even in the other DM team, told you no, that's not true.
Yeah, I mean,
because I didn't feel like I had that at all in my time as a DM. I didn't feel like I was ever good enough. I didn't feel like I could withstand anything, and in the end, I didn't feel like it was worth it. But only after I left was I told that I was a good DM. I was good at doing what I did, but no one told me that, and it's confusing. It's so confusing because I'm not sure. It's been driving me crazy for so long. Like every single time I think about it.
Man, I wanted to get your games.
I never knew, because who knows? I don't have those doubts, and I was never known that. No one told me that when I was a DM. And so I left because I thought I was a failure at all times, because I never could be good enough for someone else so demanding as Arcadum. So I left, and only after I left, he told me
I never want to play D&D. God damn.
was good enough, and I don't know what to think. I don't know if he wanted me back because I did a lot of work. I don't know if he's trying to manipulate me. I don't know what kind of person he is. I don't know whether to like or hate him, because it happened at such a weird time that I could never understand what he wanted from me. And I've never seen him do that in public to anyone else, and I don't understand it. And this was supposed to be directed to Arcadum, but he's not here, and it's been eating away at me for too long.
Okay, look, please don't take this as me trying to come down on you, because I understand that it's very emotional for you. And one of the points we made with Enchant is that only a few people knew the full extent of what was happening to him. And that was a very difficult situation, because there are many times you have to choose between maintaining your own promise of secrecy, as well as balancing that against finding justice for the victim. Now, I apologize that you feel that way, and I can't recall ever seeing such an emotional plea. And while I would like to say that I would be giving you that encouragement as a DM, it would be presumptuous to say that. I can say with certainty that there were times I disagreed with you. I think that's very fair. I understand this is something that is very personal and private to you. I would encourage you to try and share that.
I just want to know if he's told that to anyone else, because I'm gone. I don't need it anymore. And I don't feel like I need to be manipulated by him anymore, but I know he's not here anymore. I know he's not on the voice channel, but I just want him to know that this isn't supposed to be negative. This isn't supposed to be about my opinions. It's supposed to be that I want him to let the DMs know that they're doing a good job. Because I never got that.
Taco, I'll say this. When you left, the first time when you left, when we realized that you left, DMs, first thing Arcadum said is, well, shit, we have a fucking giant hole vortex that now we need to fill with Taco leaving. Because you were doing a lot of work, especially when it comes to prestige missions, that we genuinely struggled to find DMs to fill the massive shoes you left behind.
You were one of the only DMs who we could even trust to do prestige missions, so, yeah.
I should point out that Arcadum has said thank you for all that you do after some of the Sunday meetings. Not that I've been there in a while, but that just goes to show that he did it in the past, at least.
But that's not the same. You can get participation awards, and they're meaningless in the end.
There are lots of things in all of our lives, including myself. I don't want to speak for Jeremy. Just me. I've made a lot of regretful decisions. I've been...
By the way, Jeremy is Arcadum, for those of you who don't know.
Unappreciative to people who have helped because I've been angry. And especially with people like Lasora who... Look, Jeremy's not around. I know he's not a popular dude, and I have plenty of conflicts with him. It still wasn't right of me to yell at him because I was contributing to what you were feeling and making him feel like no one appreciates that. If you want my personal opinion, I did not ask you to come back because, much like I've said my feelings on the people who are here, I want people to be here because they want to be here and it makes them happy. I very strongly believe that we are a community, and even if you're not a DM, you're not a mod, I want people to be honest with us and let us know what they think is wrong. I want you to be honest with us. I think you can do a lot if you are a DM or a mod, but that's the takeaway I want to express, is that this shouldn't have happened, and a lot of it was because among the DMs, among people who knew, and again, this is a little skewed because it is a violation of a person's rights to go and tell someone else that they're being sexually abused. I understand that. We all need to start being very, very truthful to each other, but at the same time, there are correct ways to do it. I hope that there is an effort on Jeremy's side to help mend those fences with you, because you obviously care quite a lot, and this is obviously something you've been thinking about. If I can help you with that, I would like to do that.
The time is already gone, so there's no...
Who's having a breakdown?
Well, God damn it, Jeremy, that is not...
What? I want to...
Wait, did he just join? Did Arcadum just join and say, "Who's having a mental breakdown?" Oh my god, this is about to get spicy, dude.
Help. No, like, people gotta come...
a bit more sensitive of a way.
Oh, okay, let's talk, buddy.
Yes, please. I mean, I don't really like that either.
Yeah.
People coming to my stream subbing with these messages, I should be ashamed of myself.
Well, okay, look, that's not okay either, guys.
Like, dude, let's talk. You need to talk, I'll talk right now.
Why did you compliment me after I left it?
You did a good job. Easiest answer of my life.
But at the same time, I see things like this right here.
Things like what?
Like replying to enchants stuff, replying to someone else's stuff, and it feels like you're trying to save face. And yes, you are expressing your opinion on that, and that's fine. But I can't help but think that there's undertones of something else in it, undertones of manipulation. Like where all the DMs are being manipulated.
Explain. How do you mean?
When I want to say.
Do you want to talk in private or do you want to talk here?
I can talk here.
The only reason I came in here to do this is because apparently you were talking in here and making it public. So that's the only reason I came into on equal footing.
Someone said to not hide anything anymore. So
okay, then don't hide. Okay, then address it. Go ahead, bud. Wait, did you ask, just real quick, did you ask me why I never thanked you regularly? Or did I misunderstand what you asked? Or what you actually said?
I never felt like I got a genuine compliment like that one time in OOC as I was a DM. At least I don't remember.
I said it to you in voice, especially about the pet rules. Like, you took that up on your own. You showed initiative, and I thanked you for it, and I talked you up about it. And I trusted you to do it. Because you've shown competence. You're one of the DMs that ran a lot of games. Well, you weren't, like, top board the most runners, but those people burned themselves out pretty quick, too. You stayed consistent. Agreeable. You killed a few people, but that's simply dice and some inexperience with combat balance. Something wrong with that. That's salvageable, too. You made mistakes just like everybody else, but you did a good job. When you left, it hurt. But I have to move forward. And that's why I may have seen cold. It's not that I'm being cold. Every single DM that is left, with the possible exception of, well, Bag, but that is a whole other problem. But with probably the exception of Bag, I've been very thankful to have had them. Even if they had a dissenting opinion. And you were definitely one of those people. I don't fill the DM team with people that agree with me. That's not constructive. And you butted heads with me on a lot of stuff because that was your job. You took your stance and you held it well. There were some battles that you couldn't win. But that's okay. You're not there to win. You're there to provide an alternative option. That's what the whole thing is about. Especially about longevity. Like the whole discussion about how long things live. Because you were playing a lower lifespan character. And you were concerned that everything that you did was pointless because your character was going to die. Plus other concerns as well. And you held your ground on it. And we discussed it. You, like, this indication that just because I don't take your advice, that means it's not valuable to me is wrong.
That's not what I'm implying. I'm not implying that you never validate. I'm implying the timing of all of this. I'm implying that you yourself have said that the best D&D games you run is when you manipulate other people's emotions. And after I left, you did so many right things that there's this undertone that I can't help but think that you're just trying to do that to me again. You're trying to get me back. You're trying to make me feel better. Maybe think that it's a good idea to come back. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. But I can't help but know if it's genuine or not. Or you're just trying to save something you lost.
All right, let me be clear then. All right. When I said that, that's exactly my job. An actor's entire purpose is to manipulate the emotions of those watching, to make them feel something. Manipulation is a tool. It's not evil. And we all do it. When you show sympathy to somebody, empathy, you say words that you think will make them feel better. That is manipulation. It's not evil. And I'm not doing it because I'm trying to control people. My job as an entertainer, I have to make people feel things. I have to make them laugh. I have to make them interested. And that's what your job was too, as a DM. And the hope, specifically on manipulation, as you brought it up, is that you would see what I do and emulate it. Because regardless about how people might feel about me personally right now in this tense situation, I am a professional. I made a career out of it. There are things you should copy about what I do, and I've went into detail about them. Such as how to use wordplay to make a player believe that an idea was their own, and that you dissuade them from making a bad decision based off of just their inexperience as a player. How that you can challenge a player's suggestion in a way that makes it feel like you're not telling them that's a dumb idea, but rather giving them a better solution that they will take anyway. Or better yet, to make a player feel even more joy than they might even feel whenever they are victorious. See, these are the things that I do, and I do them well. And I'm not, look, if you want to come back, that's your choice. I'm not making anybody do anything. My entire system is based off of volunteered service. And, you know, if I'm honest, that was probably my biggest mistake. I think, other than the Afro thing, which I'll probably always bear that and regret that for a while, but for the rest of my life maybe. But the point is that the thing I should have done at the very beginning was I should have made sure I had the capital to pay everybody. Because a volunteer-based system means that people are naturally fickle, and that they are their appreciation is measured by my interaction with them rather than the paycheck given to them. Because that is a more determinable belief. And I believe also, Taco, that even though you left the team, whenever we got the payout from Patreon, I still sought you out.
Someone in chat says, is this the guy that was humping a girl while crying? Yeah, in VR chat. Oh yeah, and in real life. Yeah, this was. This is the guy who cries that people don't play video games with him. This is the guy who, you know, always complains that he's unattractive to like 30 different women, and they all say, no, he is attractive.
I gave you that thanks. Because you were a part of the team. You did a good job. And you got a piece of the pie as was promised to you. I don't know how much of this is completely like in your own mind or not, but I can tell you this, that I am not that kind of person. I'm not. At least I'm not anymore. Not since the military, but that's something I've talked about many times, and it makes me ashamed of myself. But look, I'm not gonna get emotional because I do have to stream today. The point is that I did appreciate you, and I showed you that stuff by doing the things that I did. Like, I don't know how else I could have been more clear. Like just to sit you down after every time and tell you personally, I don't have time to do that for everyone.
No, just there's nothing to be done anymore. Just appreciate the DMs you have. That's all I'm
Taco,
gonna say.
if you don't mind, would you mind me just speaking up a little bit as well? If you're right with it.
I'm done.
Okay. Look, I'll come out and say that I think a lot of DMs would agree with this, that you are remarkably difficult to work with, Arcadum. So, in DM meetings, being a mod, any sort of part of the staff makes it very difficult to get ideas across, to do anything. And yes, it is part of your personality, and a lot of us do have to accept that. But part of the feelings that Darko feels is that you don't receive much praise during all of it. It's a lot of criticism. And then, once you leave, and after the fact, you receive all of this praise from people, from you in particular, saying that your missions were great, that your contributions were good, that your opinion was appreciated. Yet at the time, it never happened. It does feel remarkable.
William Keller sends $5. I got an 18-mile walk ahead of me, and this keeps me going. Well, you know, I'm glad I'm helping you out, and good on you for getting that much exercise, damn.
Remarkably manipulative.
That's an absolute and is incorrect.
Correct. Arcadum is right. I feel as though I've been complimented many times every time I'm in a meeting. The end of the meeting is thank you for all. If people can't hear that, then
yeah, at the end of every meeting, I say thank you all for your service. And of course, I'm going to thank people when they leave because they put their time forward. And for whatever reason that they left, whether it be positive or negative, based off of things they couldn't control, whatever the reason, I still thank them. And if I didn't thank them, I either didn't know they were gone or missed them somehow. The only person I specifically did not thank was Beg, and that's because he was a sociopath.
Okay, Arcadum, I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm asking you to consider that these are the emotions that people are feeling as they're leaving. And while it might not make sense to you, and other people might have different experiences, at the end of the day, this is something that someone truly feels, because a lot of the people, the reason they volunteer on this team is because they look up to you. They believe you're a good DM, they want to replicate what you're doing, and they want to learn from you. So having a lack of compliments, not hearing praise during the meetings, because look, the meetings can get heated, and discussion can get heated, and people can get passionate. But at the end of the day, a lot of people do get lambasted, just tore into. And to hear the praise afterwards, it doesn't sit right with people. And I'm not saying whether or not it's right or wrong, or whether or not you should agree with me. But I'm saying consider that, because at the end of the day, with all of this, the most important thing is people's emotions. You know, all of this is happening. Everything here, all of our issues, are all coming back down to how people are interpreting things, how people feel on the situation. And I feel that the biggest mistake we're making is we're not considering that at all. And it's making it remarkably difficult. So just, all I ask is consider that. You don't have to agree with me, you don't have to think I'm right, but take it a step back and realize that we're all emotional people. And that people are seriously hurt by the way that things are approached. That's all we need to do. Just bring it back.
So,
realize.
Just so I understand your point. Your point is that you're stating an opinion based off of people's emotions, even if that opinion is marred with misinformation and is not based on facts, that I should not challenge it, that I should accept it for what it is, and that people are able to say it and not in any way actually have it be addressed. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. Listen, look.
Like, you're asking me to consider people's feelings. I do. Like, see, this is, if we're talking about feelings, well, I feel that the conception that I don't care about people's feelings is wrong, because that's how I feel. And no. I do consider what people say, dude. Like,
I'm not saying that you're not considering people's feelings, because you do. You definitely do. But it's the way that things are approached. It's the way that people are perceiving things.
And their perception is based off facts, Pete.
Yes, no, the perceptions are based off facts.
And if they get the wrong facts, their perception is therefore wrong.
Okay.
And I'm going to argue that if there's a lot of people that already have these feelings, and I have heard it from multiple people about this, then it's true. I mean, like, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, it's how they feel. So it like no matter what, it's there. There's something there that people continuously have this feeling. So I'm sorry, I can't just sit back and just continue to listen to this, because to be completely honest, like, people are feeling this, and it's a problem, because it's not just one or two people that are in this chat. There are multiple people that have told me this and have felt the exact same way. So I'm not even a DM, and I know these things. I know that it exists.
You can't please everyone.
And that's completely fine. That's completely fine. But I'm just saying that there is a group of people that feel this way. There is a group. And that group should not be silenced or have their feelings misdirected, or not even just that, to be ignored. I can't do that. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying that we should do that either, but the point is that people are pointing this at me like it's my indiscretion and my fault. And if they are doing that, so be it. I can accept that this is my fault. But when they make it based off of things that aren't true, that's the problem that I have. Like, I can understand. Let me reiterate. I can understand the feeling that Taco says, I don't feel like I was actually appreciated. All right, that's a completely valid statement because that's based off his feelings. But when the statement that he was not complimented enough is said, or inferred, or in any way actually done, when I have complimented everyone the most same amount that I possibly can, that is a problem that I have. The insinuation that things happened because I willed them to happen that way is like that's I'm sorry, that doesn't jive. And as for people's feelings, being considerate of them, I completely am. And like I don't
look.
Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. You say that you care about people's feelings. Can you give me an example?
Sure.
Give me an example.
Okay, first of all, I went and I've had private discussions with DMs, and they can reveal themselves if they wish about certain issues that have happened to them, especially things that have happened to them like outside of the living world. Like I won't name this person, but there's a DM that recently went through like he was severely injured and was having problems with that, and asked if he could have some time off, and I was like, sure thing, and I followed up on whether or not he was feeling okay. There's other times as well, like I remember I spoke with Taco specifically, like one-on-one in the past about the age thing, and also other people that were allocated that. I put an extra time trying to consider how I might address the age problem based off of Taco being the champion of it. All right, and those are just the examples I can pull off the top of my head. If you want, I can sit down, go through DMs, and I can compile a list. But the point is I do. There's your examples, and if people want to reveal it themselves, they're welcome to. But I won't put anyone on public blast like that.
Yeah, but one thing that you don't know about that happened is I did champion. I fought really hard for that, and after that, I cried for 2 hours under my desk. Okay. Because it is hard to talk to you because you're harsh. I remember, this is the reason I left. I don't know if you know this. You probably do because you're not dumb. But I left because of something emotional. I made a mistake, and you had to fix that mistake. But it came down really, really hard on me that I was depressed for 2 days straight. I didn't smile. I didn't laugh, even when other people were in company. And I just sat there questioning why until I broke, and then I left.
Look, man.
Okay, let him finish.
To everything. Like, I saw your attempt at empathy, at sympathy, and it was simply saying this wasn't targeted at you.
That's because it wasn't.
Yeah, that's supposed to make me feel better.
Look, dude, I don't have the ability to make you feel anything like that. I can attempt to help. I can help it, but I can't go into your mind and make you happy. I can't do that, especially if I don't interact with you. You said that you went and you cried under your desk for 2 hours. Did you call me during that time?
You heard me crying in the voice channel.
I didn't hear that. Did I address it?
No, you didn't.
Well, then I didn't hear it. I didn't know that, dude. Come on, you have to be reasonable. Like,
do you hear how my voice sounds right now?
Well, yeah, I know you're emotional now, but you've also gotten emotional in the past, but that doesn't mean that you're in a fetal position under a desk, my dude.
Okay,
like,
hold on, slow down. All of us slow down. This is not the right way to deal with it. As I said before, we're all emotional people. We all...
I raised my voice, I shouldn't have done that, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, we all need to deal with this in ways. I know, Arcadum, I know that you know you're difficult to work with. You've said it multiple times, and you agree with it. But a case like this is a prime example of why it can be difficult to have a discussion with you. Because, and I know why you want to do it. You want to defend yourself. Multiple times you have helped people. You've talked with them, you've tried to do your best. But it comes to a point where you just need to accept it, take it as a chip on your shoulder. I know that you want to let everyone know, scream out loud, all of the things that you've done to try and help people, and all the things that people don't see behind the scenes. But at a certain point, you just need to say, I'm sorry. And just, you don't need to jump to the defense.
So you think I should say I'm sorry about something I don't believe that I've done wrong?
With all due
respect. No. I want him to answer. You think I should say I'm sorry even if I don't believe it? And I'm not saying that I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not saying that, Luca, before you add ellipses. I'm saying that, see, I don't mean to be angry. I'm sorry, I'm very emotional as well. Let me reiterate. If somebody's feelings, as you have offered, are produced of something that I do not believe that I have done wrong in, do you think I should apologize for it?
I believe that when you're in an emotional state like this, it's about stepping back and going, okay, so someone feels hurt based on what I've done or what I haven't done. You could have done nothing, and someone still feels hurt by your actions. Taking a step back and looking at yourself, examining it, and believing, and thinking.
Right, okay, and that will happen anyway. I'm asking you, do you think I should apologize? It's a yes or no answer, man.
Yes, going back and saying, I'm sorry that you feel hurt, and you empathize. You don't have to agree and believe it, but take a step back and just empathize that you're different people.
All right.
Different people from different backgrounds, different beliefs. Just take a step back and realize, I've hurt someone. I don't believe that what it did was wrong, but in some way it hurt them. And I need to rectify that.
Even if I did not actually make it happen. You believe that I can rectify it. I'm just asking a simple question.
May I interject?
Go ahead.
You do not apologize for your actions. You do not apologize for what you did. You apologize for how it affected someone else. You're not apologizing for what you did. You're not apologizing for how things are happening. You're apologizing how what happened hurt a person. That's what you apologize for. You can do something that is completely justified and understandable and hurt people, and you are responsible for people who are hurt, even if it is irrational or it shouldn't have happened like that. They were still hurt, and that's what you have to apologize for.
Okay, so the intention is that I don't apologize on fault, that I apologize for their state of mind. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that you have to acknowledge that a person was hurt, and
I'm acknowledging that, but I'm asking, do I need to apologize
by saying, I am sorry that my actions hurt you. I did not intend for them to hurt you.
Okay, I have done that.
But you don't defend yourself. You just, because that looks like you're not apologizing.
Okay, let me explain why I defend myself.
I understand.
Do you?
Don't have to defend yourself about defending yourself.
No, I don't think you understand. I defend myself because I want to solve the problem.
Impossible.
Not always.
Okay, look.
And no, let me finish. Okay, if somebody says this happened and I feel sad because of something that happened, even if I don't feel that I've done anything about it, I can apologize for how they ended up that way, and then go into the fact I did this, because the intention is that if I can find the critical point in which it happened, then I can address it appropriately and maybe prevent it from happening again. I want to solve the problem, not offer I don't even know what to really call that, like acceptance that's there. I want to solve the problem, even if that is impossible. That's why I'm doing that kind of stuff. That's why I'm saying those things. But you know what? You guys are right. I am neither skilled enough to do it that apparently, or I lose focus. Maybe it's just a lot too much all at once. So I'm sorry to everyone here. I'm sorry that I am difficult to work with. I am sorry that in my attempts to do pretty much anything, someone gets hurt. And my inability to, rather, I should say my failure to appropriately express my sorrow in how you feel. And then apologize for it. And if people are talking about emotions, can I express my own? Is that all right?
Go ahead.
The living world has made me miserable for the last year and a half. I wake up to negativity. I wake up to, and let me finish, all right? I'd like to finish my emotional explanation. And the reason that it has nothing to do with what D&D actually is. It's to do with drama. Constant drama. And it has not only affected me like professionally, it's affected my marriage. But why haven't I ended it? Because I care about all of you. That I would rather walk through the fire and get to the other side. That's where my emotions are. I mean, every time one of you leave, it fucking hurts. But somebody's hot micing it. It sounds like you're drinking bottles. Like, what the fuck's going on?
I believe that's Seth.
Oh, sorry about that. I realized I didn't mute and I put a jacket on. No, it's remarkably cold in Australia right now. But anyway, okay, my track, sorry.
But to be clear about it, from the leadership standpoint, everything that I do is watched under a microscope. And that's all right. That's a part of it. So I could do 100 things right, do one thing wrong, and that's all people will care about. And that's it. That's all they will care about. And that's okay, because that's human nature. I'm not going to change human nature. All right, it's not going to happen. But it still hurts. But see, the thing is I don't get to have these moments. I don't get to placate to people's humanity. I don't get to. I don't get to go into a public forum and express to everybody how miserable I am, because you all look to me to be a leader. And if I show a lack of confidence, and if I show that I don't believe in things or any of that, then everything else falls apart. And the burden of that is intense every day. And not only that, but I also have to stream, and I have to maintain an entertaining persona. I have to do these things and portray myself as this, because if I fail, all of you lose. If one of you fail, you can leave. If I fail, everyone leaves. Everyone loses. I wake up to that fact. I look on Discord with that fact. I stream with that fact. That's how I feel. I feel that I am doomed to fail at the thing that I'm best at. But yet I have to maintain a forum where people can speak about the things they disagree with. And because I'm trying to do the best that I can, I have to make sure that no weak ideas are used. And if that makes me difficult to work with, I definitely see that. And as I say weak ideas, I mean any idea, even ones that I propose, and they've been shot down too. The reason that I act this way is because I cannot act another way. I have to be hard. If I'm soft, it fails.
I'm sorry.
Like if I lose, I mean, I know what we just discussed, and while I do appreciate you apologizing to me, I do not believe you have to, because I chose this. Your feelings, I will apologize for, and I'll do it, and I'll believe in it. But you do not have to apologize to me. And you know why, Taco? Because you stepped up. You did the work. You offered to take some of my burden away. You will never have to apologize to me. That goes the same for every single DM, even the ones that hate me. That goes for the mods too. Anybody that looked and said, I want to help, will always have my respect. Because to me, that means more than any fucking kind word. Talk is cheap. Action isn't. And that's the way I look at that.
So honestly, what I'm hearing from this and you saying that is that you've put up this act for so long that it feels like to me that you've lost part of your humanity.
No, I wouldn't say it's that extreme.
Part of you has lost yourself from being this hard leader, if you will, that you've lost a part of empathy. And I'm going to tell you why I think, for me, and maybe some other people, find it difficult to come to you or come to the problems and express their opinions. It's because multiple times you have said that the only opinion that matters is yours. So why should someone talk about their opinion when you continually say that your opinion is the only one that matters?
I say that because of the way that this leadership structure has to exist.
Why does it have to exist that way? You continually
Do you want me to explain why?
No, let me talk.
Okay.
You continually say that you have all this burden on you. However, you have also said that you want to keep it democratic and that you want to lift some of this burden from you. You can do that by delegation. However, you still want to have your hand into every single little piece of this because, it's your baby, However, the stress has gotten to you and you don't want to let go of that baby. So you don't want to delegate, but also you have this stress piling up. And it's just not healthy. What you're doing right now is not healthy.
Well, I suppose that's true. The amount of health or unhealthiness certainly has degrees, but it's the job I chose because I'm not good at anything else. So, and it'll always be that way. I mean, that's what a DM is. A DM is the person in charge of everyone else's entertainment. Yeah, they're not the only one doing it. They're in charge of it. And it's always going to be a leadership position. So even if I didn't do the living world, it'd still be that way. I mean, do you have any idea how much of a cracking pressure it was to run for 3,500 people that didn't know me when I ran Baru's game? That if I make a mistake, my career could be ruined because those people will tell their friends to do their friends and out of context and all of that. That's why when I made that Japan reference, I was beside myself because I fucked up. I don't know if anybody actually saw that stream, but that's how paper thin my margin of error is. Like, if I'm honest, I know that probably in about a year, a lot of you are gonna hate me, and there's nothing I can do about it. And you know how I know that? And now I'm getting emotional, dude. I ran for let me calculate it. Let me actually calculate this.
519.
Thank you. I ran for 519 people over the course of my 9 years as a professional DM. Do you know how many of them actually talked to me? 7. Now, is that a demonstration of me being an unlikable person? Is that a demonstration of me being a hard ass? Them not liking the game? Them losing touch? There's various degrees of all of that. But the point is that out of 519, 7. Well, technically 9, but they went down. So yeah, it could be unhealthy, but it's the only thing I'm good at. And I want to do it. I want to. See, I'm not doing this as a buy for sympathy. I want to be clear. I don't want your sympathy. That's not the point. Because the point to me is that being sympathetic to me, although appreciated, doesn't solve the problem. Because to me, the problem is solved by me overcoming adversity. Just because it hurts doesn't mean I stop. Just because it's hard doesn't mean I do it. And I'm not going to. That's what the whole point of me saying that was during that stream. Isn't to say that I'm going to say that my opinion is so far above everyone else's that I won't listen to anyone else. I say that because of the hierarchy structure. And I'll tell you right now, the reason why we have that is because decisions have to actually be made. And I've been in other living worlds. I've been in other instances that ran by council and they stagnated hard. You could also make the argument that I bottleneck things. And while that was certainly very true at the beginning, I have since then made, in my opinion, very, very careful and meticulous efforts to relieve that bottleneck. I made people in charge of different divisions. I gave them things they could add to the world. Like, to use Taco as an example, since he was the most relevant to this discussion, when he said, hey, I want to do the pet rules, I let him. That's an example of me designating work and rewarding initiative. So, but you're right, it is my baby. It's my world. It's the one I made since I was 13. It's my soul. And it's it's hard. Once again, this isn't accusatory, and I suspect to a smaller degree it may be a problem with World Anvil. But I got to look at the stats as I've made the lore, and many people in the living world didn't read it. The page views are very small. They just, and I don't know if that means that they didn't know where to find it. Maybe they're role players with ROLL. There's different types of people. But the constant threat that the world I made may not be good enough is also there.
Hey, Jeremy.
Anyway, that's all I have to say, I guess.
Can you hear me? I haven't used Discord in a while.
I can hear you, at least, Dimitri.
Hi. Jeremy. So I have to actually run in about 9 minutes. I'm going to make it short. Listen, despite everything that's happened, I still consider you a friend, and I want you to be successful. And at one point, several points, you actually hit the nail on the head. You're an amazing dungeon master, probably the best I've ever had to pleasure with. But you're not a manager person. But what you are doing is you're managing a lot of people, and you're trying to set yourself up as a strong leader position. But most people don't see you as this infallible leader person. They see you as a streamer, as a dungeon master, and it's okay to make mistakes. I ended up speaking to a couple of people that still are on the mod team, and the thing that hurt them the most during your stream was when you took the moral high ground. Up until then, when you were just said, I fucked up, they were happy. And I think it's okay for you to make mistakes and show that weakness, because people are forgiving so long as you are putting yourself in a position to be forgiven. And people are okay with you making managerial mistakes. And you know what? That's something you can work on. You can't manage this many people by yourself. Most people that have any experience in management at all will tell you about 15 is the amount of people that you can directly kind of keep a pulse on. And then after that, you need managers for them. It's not your fault. It's not your failing. That's just how things are. And people aren't going to be upset about you if you just say that, like, this is something you tried your hand at and you messed up. It's okay. You can you want to do better. You know you can do better, but maybe consider what you can do yourself to change how you're approaching to things, instead of looking at how others are perceiving you. And I sincerely hope that you are able to recover from all of this. And get back to enjoying what you do.
Dude, I'm confident I will. This isn't the first time this kind of stuff has happened. I mean, I've had people tell me my whole life that I was wrong, and look, my personality is deeply rooted in the experiences that I've had, as it is for everybody. And when someone tells me I can't or shouldn't do something, I don't look at that like they do. I do it because, man, to me the greatest challenge is to succeed where others have failed, and I've done that consistently in my life. So I'm not going to stop doing that because we hit a hard wall. I'm going to break the fucking wall because that's who I am. And I know that many of you, for various reasons, may have seen that and don't believe me. I will tell you this: I deeply regret what happened with the sexual harassment. I was not equipped to deal with that properly, and I made a bad call, and I will remember that for the rest of my life.
I want to say something about that. I really hope you do learn a lesson from the Afro stuff. Mainly because, in my opinion, the choice you made was months late. It should have been the choice you made in the beginning, and the fact that you used precedent with Cynic was wrong. Mainly because those two situations, the contexts were completely different. Cynic was naive. I don't believe he knew what he was doing.
I'm aware of what I did wrong. I'm not sure why you're repeating it. Like, I already said I'm going to learn that lesson.
And everyone else to hear it. That's why.
Like,
I don't believe everyone has.
Oh, then I'll tell people what happened. I mean, I already addressed this on stream, and there's a place for people to go look at it. So, like, go ahead, say your piece. Go ahead.
So with Cynic, he was naive. I don't believe he knew what he was actually doing. Whereas with Afro's situation, he knew what he was doing, and he was being predatory in nature.
I do not agree with that assessment at all.
How so?
Because because Cynic was looking for addresses.
Cynic was doing some creepy shit.
Cynic literally went to people and said, "Where do you live? I want to move to the United States from Poland so I can live really close to you and see you."
So if we're talking degrees,
Can I
go ahead, Tiffany. Go ahead, Tiffany.
I was involved with that. That happened when Jeremy was away, and there was evidence brought, and it alarmed me greatly. I would not want anybody to feel what that person felt and how I felt. I assessed the situation. I took the evidence brought to me, and I felt that he was dangerous because of the things that he did, the steps he took. He was escalating to a point where I feared him. And I can't imagine what the other person would have felt. And even if the person that had happened to them wanted leniency, I felt that person should not have gotten leniency. I don't think anybody on this fucking server should have leniency against sexual harassment, sexual assaults, anything like that.
And I agree.
All right.
I made a bad call. And the reason I showed leniency is because the victim asked me to.
For which one? For Afro or for Cynic? Obviously for Cynic.
For Cynic. And because of that, I've already explained this. Because of that, I wanted to go by precedent. Because I wanted to be fair. And I agree with that. And yes, I agree with you, Spiff. I agree with you. Because what I should have done is just ban the scumbag.
Yes, it should have been a lesson learned on precedent. And here's my thing, Arcadum. This, in this entire interaction, I think this is the pivotal moment in your career that could sink it. You could lose your integrity and you can lose your reputation, depending on what you do with it and how you continue.
I mean, my integrity is, I believe at the time I was doing the right thing. And I mean, how is that an adverse to my integrity?
Like, I don't agree with that. This is something Arcadum is doing for us. This is something he's giving us. We should be thankful that we're getting this.
Also,
all Arcadum has to do is snap his fingers and it's gone. His problems are done. I don't see how this is, inflecting on his integrity.
Also, ever since he's made that announcement, the people who've been the most hardline about this have only accused him of lying and doing it to save face. So now you're saying that this is his choice to save his career, but no one believes that he's making the right decision for the right reasons. So that's part of why this is a stressful, confusing situation.
Mm-hmm.
And also, for what it's worth, I was very inconsiderate. Someone who was also directly offended by this gave graciously everyone a chance to talk and has not been able to actually defend themselves.
All right.
Could we have a moment for that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
For who? I'm sorry. I was wiping my fucking eyes.
It's me.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to give everyone the chance to talk to me personally and ask their questions or whatever they wanted to know about the enchant situation, since I was called out so personally and so viciously. If anyone wants to know my side, I will tell it to the degree that I am able to based on what is secretive in the mods.
I assume it's to protect the victim.
But yeah, there were just some things I wanted to address to say my side, I guess. I don't know who gave Enchant this information, but half of it, from what I am reading, is incorrect. Sorry, I'm bringing up the document now so I can figure out what my talking points were. First, I want to address the forbidden action I took. I don't know how he got that, considering that was done in a private DM channel with me, Devil, and Seabreeze. There was another person. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was.
I believe I was in that channel.
Man, I haven't seen Seabreeze in forever. Is he okay?
He's still playing.
Okay, where is he? Like, I'm sorry.
He was just in a game.
I haven't seen him. I'm just worried about him. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Pete was in that channel, but I believe it was after the fact. I believe it was more read this history. There was someone else there that was a player. I don't remember who it was. I used a siren song to kiss That is as far as it went. And that, yes, I did not go to him and get specific permission, and that was my fuck up. I fully admit that happened. But our characters were already flirting. We had already talked about it. OOCly, I did not ask specifically, can I do this thing? And got in a specific yes. So that was on me, but that was the context. And the other people who were in that chat, including Peep, including Devil, can tell you that a kiss is as far as it went. So that is part of what I wanted to address, because I feel like, yes, I screwed up, but it was nowhere near to the level that it was accused of me. I would also like to put out there that, because this is public knowledge, I feel anyway now, most of Enchant's thing is I was biased against them. I didn't know who the harasser was. Most of the mods didn't know. I'm sorry, who the victim was. Most of the mods didn't know. They chose to report anonymously. I believe they reported to Jatiri. Jatiri gave us a screenshot with their names blacked out, and the rest of the mods can, I believe maybe Chica and Jatiri knew, and maybe Crystal. I did not know. There was no way for me to be biased. And there was a point where people were saying that I pushed for a 3-week ban of Afro very hard. Yes, I did. I pushed that in the very beginning, before we had real evidence, and that was my suggestion of, let's do this now while we're gathering the rest of the evidence. And other people did want to ban him outright, and I will say my thought, and other people didn't want to, and I fell in the middle of, let's get rid of him for a few weeks while we gather this. I will say that I did not defend Afro with my life or anything else, and I will say that the mods can tell you this or not, that I recused myself from a lot of the conversation involving him, because I did, before this happened, have a personal friendship with him outside of games where we would play Final Fantasy together or what have you. So I did the best I could to remain not biased. Now, I think the problem is, when I speak, I am passionate. I don't think that is a bad thing, and I don't think that I am not unable to have my idea changed. I am passionate, I'm not unmoving. Quickly, as part of the RP, that was something that happened in Phase 1. I wasn't even a mod at the time. I had no power to do anything to Enchant. I said I didn't like the way the RP happened, and asked if it could be retconned. Yes, that part is true. Because he went out and told a major character secret that was supposed to be something very special between my character and another one. This was announcing my character's pregnancy. It was her first one. And after IC figured it out, he went into the common room and announced it to the father and a bunch of other people, and I was upset. And I said, hey, can we retcon this? I don't like this. This was not really your place, and I'd rather preserve this RP. Was that wrong of me? I don't know. Probably. I feel I had the right to go to him and express my opinion that he got in the middle of something that was supposed to be such a great RP when he wasn't involved with it at all, aside from being the medic that told my character she was pregnant. And I did not flame him in open chat. We did discuss it, because we were all talking about it in open chat, and maybe he did leave at some point. That was in Phase 1. I'm not going to claim.
I am so glad I'm not part of the D&D community. Arguing over a fake pregnancy and whether it gets revealed or not, like, I don't know about you guys, but this is some terminally online stuff, you know.
To remember, but I did not flame him in open Coven chat. Sorry, I almost said World Wonders chat, and I'm like, no, wrong.
Yeah, I remember this happening. I don't remember specifics, but I definitely remember reading this.
If it's alright for me to interject the one within,
Sure.
I will say, look, overall, no matter what people's opinions on this, because the story that you will hear will be different from no matter what side you listen to. Every time will be different. But the thing we've got to look at is that, as a mod, having a friendship with someone with decision making, there is a bias in that. Whether or not you believe you brought that personal bias into it, or whether others believe that you brought the personal bias into it, at the end of the day, we all need to look at this situation and go, okay, there is a bias in this, and we want to do our best to have the mods be the unbiased, independent ones that make the decisions here, right? You want them to be the jury, the ones that look at all the evidence and judge whether or not it's good enough to go up to the admins or Arcadum. And there was some bias in this. Now, depending on who you hear it from, it will always be different. And honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think the details are as important as the perception. And people perceive bias.
Well, that is why I wanted to point out, yes, you can say I was biased for Afro. You cannot say I was biased against Enchant. Because until yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I did not know it was Enchant at all.
At the end of the day, those details aren't as important. All we need to do is look at the overall situation and say, okay, so that was the issue that we can interpret with here, and that the issue that people that feel they were victimized by this, they saw that you were possibly biased in your decision making, and that they were, had their power taken away by that. And whether or not you agree with that doesn't necessarily matter. It's just how they perceived it.
It's not entirely a fair assessment. I was in that mod meeting because this is something that matters to me. She was not the only one who wasn't on the and look, I don't know how to. She was not the only one expressing those types of opinions that Enchant disagreed with. But I would argue that the fact that she was the only person other than Jeremy called out by Enchant, it seems to be either a bias on his part that he seems to exhibit, or a bias on the part of whoever came to him and told him what had happened in the mod meeting, because he can't see that. He's not a mod. Someone who is a mod or a DM told him that. So it's not an unfair accusation to say that, hey, we should try to prevent mods that have bias in those meetings, even though I think both times there were mods that had actually been harassed by those people they had to pass judgment on, and no one thought that was a problem. Which, this is still on the assumption that, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt until we're proven otherwise. But there's also that on the other side of why just one person and not the other people who, when they did not know the full situation, which only a few people knew that Enchant was fighting against his abuser, there were people, including myself, who were of the opinion of, oh, well, he shouldn't be breaking rules.
1 second. Gunslinger, are you still in here?
No, he left it.
Yeah, he left the server.
Oh, okay. Well, let me thank him for his service.
Well,
Gee, I wonder.
Yeah, it's not like he can't. He's still.
Hey!
Anyway, the point is, there were lots of people that agreed with the idea that bullying is not an acceptable solution to a problem until we learned the specifics of the situation, when we all stepped back and reviewed it. And that would have come across a lot quicker and a lot less painlessly if it had been delivered in a much more calm way. And I say that as a failing of the people who knew that. But as I've stated before, it was in a respect to try and keep Enchant's name private. So it is a tragic accident that he was accused of being the sole perpetrator in that Afro situation.
Okay, so I know that we've all gotten a lot of emotions out there, but look, I made a mistake. I won't make it again. I'll keep improving, and I'll try to make the living world a better place. I'm not going to give up on it. If I was going to end it, I would at least let the phase finish out, because there are many of you that have been in this game for years, and you have a lot of stuff that you want to get to the conclusions of, which is why I asked for everybody who was Prestige 3 to start thinking up what their goals are, so that I could provide their ending storylines, whatever they should be, that I would write myself. But anyway, the point is that I want us to get over this. I want us to move forward, because if we don't, it'll stagnate and just continue to poison everything else and new people, and that's not what we want. Not if we want to grow. Not if we want to be successful. So I'll say it again. I am sorry for anybody's feelings that were hurt, or that felt that I was indifferent or uncaring, or any of the myriad of other things that they may feel in a negative light. And if anybody feels anything positive about me, I have a very bad case of imposter syndrome when it comes down to that. I don't think I'm worthy of it, because honestly, what I do is like breathing. I like this stuff, and that's why I do it. Trying to make a living out of it is just a requirement of my existence, and only your goodwill can make that happen. And I'm not ignorant of that or uncaring of that. And that's what I want. I want everybody to be happy. Everybody won't be, but I want them to be. So that's what I want to kind of end all this on, is that the mistakes were made, we'll fix it, we'll move forward. I heard you, and I listened. And I will attempt to change for the better. But on that same token, you have to be open to it. Because anyone that expects me to change and they themselves do not change, that's not how it works. Because as I will change, the things that we do will also change, and therefore your perception will have to change. So keep that in mind as well. I guess that's pretty much it. I really do have to get back to streaming.
Yeah, go. Does any one within? Is there anything else you'd like to say, since you were bought into this to basically the same level?
No, not really.
Is Duke in here?
God damn it, Jeremy.
Really?
What? I'm sorry. Please go. I'm sorry.
I think Remy just wanted to go ahead and continue to say her piece.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, at this point, everything got derailed. I pretty much said what I wanted to say. Unless anyone has anything to say to me, I'm good.
Okay. I just wanted to ask if Duke was in here, because he also had shit, talked about him, and if he was here, I want to give him a chance to address it if he wanted to. So.
He is, but he's also in a ranked game of League, so
okay. Then.
May not be able to talk.
Well, if he wants to, I'm sure he can. I just wanted to make sure everybody got a fair voice. Anyway, I got to get back to it. Thank you to all of you that have supported Living World, that have played in it. To DMs, DMs.
Nice. I was muted. Sorry, I was saying something.
Okay, well, I'll let you address it after, because I really got to get back to it. Look,
yeah, go ahead.
Look, you're part of the community we built together. And you're a part of my life, and I'm thankful for the people that are a part of my life. I can't promise that I will always be as kind and affable as you want me to be, but I will try. And that's the only thing I can really give you, is I'll try, because that's all I can really say. I can't guarantee anything. I can guarantee you that I won't make the same mistake I did before on that harassment stuff. But as for being more approachable and all of that, I will try to change. I will try to be more open. And I am sorry. And yeah, I guess that's it. I have to get back to streaming. Thank you to everybody that's in the Living World that has supported me, to the DMs present and the DMs past and the DMs that are yet to come. And I want to also thank Tiffany, for helping me to burden the emotions that I didn't share and that I don't share. Because she's the one that I go to. You know? Yeah. All right, anyway, I gotta shake this off because I gotta do some shit. Have a good day, everyone. I hope to see you in chat.
Have a good stream. Oh, bye.
And there we go. That was cringe, to say the least. And basically what she is saying in this Twitlonger in relation to that, yes, this is part of a Twitlonger. I know that took a while. Is that was in 2019, and since then he has not learned a goddamn thing. He got worse. He got even more cringe. He went on even more spiels. That was crazy. Like, what did he say? Like, that he's like sacrificing his time for everyone, and like, if he leaves, everything crumbles. But if someone else leaves, they can just leave, or something like that. It was just crazy, crazy stuff. Let's finish reading the rest of this Twitlonger. There's no more videos, at least for this one. So let's finish this off. I do plan to play some video games with Augie RFC on stream later today, so this might be the final Twitlonger I do today, but we will see. It depends when he's ready to stream, and I will be streaming that on my second channel. Anyways, because I don't want to do this all day. Gotta take breaks from D&D cringe. But yeah, for now, let's continue. Abuse of artists and staff. Much of the accounts here will be anecdotal, as there are too many instances to cite one by one. But I do have many archival recordings that can back most, if not all, of my recounts. Oh god, more archives. It pays to be professional and live in a one-party recording state, or recording consent state, I guess. Regardless, my counts are as follows. During my time as discipline admin and one of many dungeon masters within the Living World, I guess is like I thought it was a VR chat thing, but apparently it's like a D&D campaign. One of my main exceptions was to attend weekly staff and admin meetings where Arcadum would go over the agenda of the week and assign different tasks. Oh yeah, something else he said in the video was that like manipulating is good and it's just like a tool, and like everything he does is manipulation. He doesn't really care about anything, like crazy stuff like that. Anyways, rarely did a meeting ever go off without an incident involving Arcadum raising his voice, engaging in shouting matches, or ruthlessly critiquing the ideas and or opinions of one of his staff. Many, including myself, even close to hold their tongue. Oh, many, including myself, even chose to hold their tongue in fear of Arcadum retaliating in the way that he does. He excused his behavior as necessary, as he says the ideas need to be put through a crucible and defended on the spot by the person who proposed them. But the matter... Jesus, this is a fucking fun RP game. What is the fucking scrutiny with all the decisions? Everything must be perfect. He's like the Gordon Ramsay of D&D, except it's not for show, it's real. But the matter he approached was this was almost always cruel, harsh, brutal, and unnecessary. The same could be said of the expectations he made of volunteers, placing unreasonable workloads and deadlines to meet, especially during the Violet arc, where many RP events had to be run daily, among other duties such as tracking the economy, making players' items, writing mechanics, and other back-end maintenance. He ran his team of entirely volunteers with no respect for their time, mental and physical well-being, or other responsibilities outside of Vernum. Which I guess is like the D&D thing. I don't know what the difference between Vernum and Living World is. I guess it's just different layers of the same thing. Or two separate things he was working on at the same time. If we couldn't work as much as him, then we as a team were failing in his vision. and we had to work to the bone to keep things running, for no payoff other than maybe a verbal pat on the back. The Patreon was one avenue to mitigate this, but in the entire time it was active, we were only paid once for a couple hundred each, though I myself only ever got one payment from the Patreon when I became a DM, which is a dungeon master. So I do not know if other payments were sent out before my time on the team. But this brings me to my time as art director for Arcadum, and how he approached the community of artists that congregated around his world from all matters of communities. As an artist myself, the way Arcadum treated his artists hurt me dearly, as I gradually became more and more disappointed in how many times I had to remind him to clean up his behavior and ease back his expectations of them. It was like pulling teeth to get him to stop handing out crunch orders and 1 to 5 day rush deadlines, and each time I had to choose, I had no choice but to submit his request to the artists. It hurt me every single time to see artists work so hard in so little time for something they could have had been prepared weeks in advance. He even made rush orders for art that wasn't even used until 3 to 4 weeks later. I got used to it. I had to take matters into my own hands towards the end of my career with him and add an additional week to what Arcadum was asking, because I knew from experience that he wouldn't be needing the art within 1 to 3 days. And each time I implored the artist to add a rush fee for their work, and I really hope all of them did. Another way he mistreated the artists was how he used them for free concept art. He would announce these hangout concept art streams where he would invite the artists to join him on stream so they can draw art of ideas he had in his mind. At first, it wasn't that bad. The artists were willingly volunteering their time, and they got some nice exposure to Arcadum's large community. Nat20 and Luca especially rose to prominence in the community through their amazing design work on Turn and Hokas races. Tiern and Hokas races. But these concept streams soon became overbearing with how often they were being set up, and how their concept art was being used to promote the stream without much credit to the artists in question, other than a simple, "these were made by my community." It then crossed a line when Arcadum asked me to create a channel in the unofficial artist hangout server to serve as the work channel for a secret Callus Row TV show concept art event, which couldn't info about couldn't leave the server at the time. That I didn't even know was happening until the moment of, aside from a special event that Arcadum teased earlier in the day. I was already in bad relations with the owners of the Hangout server for not getting things clear through them first, or I was already in bad relations with the owners of the Hangout server for not getting things cleared through them first, for a prior PR incident involving Arcadum and an artist's original character. So to not tell them about this event and the channel being made for it until the moment of put both Arcadum and by association myself in hot water with them. Both the owners since have forgiven me for what happened and placed the blame on Arcadum. But one thing he said during the meeting irked me a lot. He said something along the lines of, "I only did this here because I wasn't sure I would be able to pay for it otherwise." And that is completely fucking bullshit. Because I've been running the numbers and managing the budget for Arcadum's art expenses, and he has more than enough to offer compensation to each artist who contributed to the event. And I made sure that he knew that. And after that, I made sure to offer each artist an option of compensation on their own terms or donation. And I made sure they were paid for their work. But to do this for something as secret as an unannounced TV project where no NDAs could be signed, and using volunteer labor as a means to support a project that could bring in a larger tier of financial success than what Arcadum already makes, is downright shameful and exploitative. On top of this absolute incompetence in crediting the artists he uses for his NPC and enemy tokens, he says he tries to credit each artist by making sure the artist's signature is present in the handout art. But that is far too minimal for any sort of credit that can barely be seen or understood by the audience, or barely seen at all with how quickly he mouses over the art. The best way he could credit the artist is to make sure he shouts them out upon art reveal and or putting a label with the artist's name on the token itself. He has done both of these things and is given the info needed to continue doing it, but most every time he chooses not to. My own exploitation. Now I will discuss how Arcadum has treated me and my professional positions. As I mentioned previously, Arcadum frequently made crunch orders and rush deadlines from artists I organized for him to take on official work in my spare time prior to being assigned to the role of art director, and because of those orders I constantly had to stay up to the most ungodly of hours to make sure that the artists could get feedback they needed in time to get theirs done by the deadline. It got to the point where I needed to wake up every hour and a half to make sure I could both give feedback to the artists and maintain some level of sleep. It was exhausting, but I did it for the artists to make sure they would be paid for their work, and those that put their soul into it. Make sure their piece was made into merch so that they could get additional income for their effort. Though the merch side of things with Novo TV is a completely separate fire with its own host of practices unfriendly to the artists they sign contracts with. Not to mention early in my career as an art director, I had to remind Arcadum to constantly pay his artists. It got so bad that I had to pay some artists in Arcadum's stead out of my own pocket to make sure that they could pay bills on time. Money that was never reimbursed to me despite logs visible to him saying that I did so. All of this I did out of contract and without pay. And I invested around over $1,000 of my own money to artists of the server to make sure they were happy and well treated when Arcadum couldn't bother to take the time out of his day to do it himself, which brings me to my next point. Arcadum loves to drag his feet. Months he has told the admins of his server that he would be paying them for their work, and it took me venting to Tiffany back in March to actually see any payment and negotiation take place regarding my positions as discipline admin, art director, and now YouTube manager. 3 positions that require a lot of time commitment to always be available and severely limit my choices should I seek additional work outside of Vernum. I was also in deep and mission critical to his business that I expected to at least be paid market standard for at least one of these positions, but for all 3 positions, a low-balled salary of only $1,500 a month. Pitiful for a full-time position and barely scraping by minimum wage for a part-time. Now I will say I accepted this because in a pandemic, I had nowhere else to turn to, and because I was unvaccinated at the time, I didn't want to risk the welfare of my family or my own, so I had to take what income I could find, but I will not lie when I said I felt exploited, knowing how much he spent on art, how much he spent on his stream, how much he earned from his YouTube, that I and the YouTube team helped him through blood, sweat, and tears, reach an ad revenue of $10K a month from $800 a month within a span of 4 months. That's insane growth. Speaking from my experience as a YouTuber, that is completely insane growth for just 4 months, as you can kind of see by the numbers. Over 10 times growth. He never talked to me about a pay raise, and I was never in a position to ask for one, knowing how vulnerable I would be if I did. The only thing he ever did was pile more work on me, manage an animated series, find screenwriters, and what hurt me the most, do his dirty work in explaining to my friend and fellow director in Vernum why she was being removed from a position she, like myself, devoted so much time, dedication, and love to. The last straw. Back on Tuesday, August 24th, 2021, so about a week ago, and in a couple days, so like 9-ish days ago, I think, I learned from Tiffany that she and Arcadum had split for personal reasons, not knowing at the time what exactly was going on or how terrible the situation really was, but wanting to respect their privacy and of my support to both their endeavors regardless of a natural split that can happen in a relationship. I reached out to Arcadum to let him know that I would be there to support him should he need anything. He later messages me at 2 a.m. in the morning to tell me to re-add Kelly once he talked with Tiffany, and so I made note of that. But then Kelly reaches out to me because Arcadum said to her that I would explain what happened. I never was told anything and tried to counsel her and support her through what was going on, but I didn't understand myself why she was being removed in the first place. So for context, in the previous Twitlongers, Kelly and a bunch of other women that Arcadum interacted with around August 24th, 2021, he started to edit messages between them that were sexual to make it not sexual, deleted messages, removed them from everything that he did, and some of them were tied business-wise to him, made their income off of work they did for him, so it was like super devastating. He basically did a whole e-girl culling around this time. And so I waited and waited all night to see if Arcadum gave me the heads up to re-add Kelly, but he never did. So I took actions into my own hands and re-added her myself, as I saw no issue in doing, and I did not believe that she did anything wrong to warrant removal. To leave her out would cause more harm than good to the work process she provided and oversees as a music director for Vernum. And I made it clear to Arcadum that what he made me do was very unprofessional and unbecoming of my role in his business. What follows is the most flip-flopping I have ever seen. I wake up to see Kelly was once again removed. He then calls me to explain myself that Kelly and the other girls were kicked from Vernum. He needed to remove because Tiff demanded it. Now that did not sit right with me because Tiffany herself had she didn't want anyone's livelihood to be affected by their relationship issues, Tiffany herself had I assume that means said, not she. Tiffany herself has said she didn't want anyone's livelihoods to be affected by their relationship issues, so that didn't make sense. But then he said I could remove the bans and re-add Kelly to her position, so I did and told Kelly as well, but with the back and forth going on, she didn't want to join until she heard from Arcadum himself, which, 3 times the charm, he ends re-banning the people he told me to ban not long after that. I'm so fucking pissed. I get another call with him, and there I made my decision that I will leave the team if Kelly is not reinstated, because at this point things have been ridiculously unprofessional, and I could not work having been pushed this far. Having Kelly been pushed this far, later that night though I get another call with him, Kelly, myself, and one other for Arcadum to explain what's happening. Here in this call, he guilt-tripped Kelly and I, and Kelly, with audible tears, dropped position and friendship with him herself. And I could not admire her more for her strength displayed that night, and I couldn't help but pity Arcadum for having to do what he did. He begged me to stay. He knew how important I was to his stream, to the artists to the YouTube. He knew how much they relied on me, and he guilted me into conceding that I would keep working until someone else could replace me. I am not a cruel person, so I thought about it more and gave Arcadum a proposal. Let me take what I've organized for him in the Workers Collective and let me repurpose it into an independent organization so that I and the artists, musicians, and other creative workers could have one level of separation to their project to protect their livelihood and protect them from any backlash from associating with you. He would consider it. He said he would consider it, I guess is what she means here. And later that night, Kelly shared her story to me, and I've never felt so fucking betrayed and so ashamed. That man lied to my face, Kelly's face, and everyone's face. He did not want to protect the people he was kicking, he wanted to silence them. For people like me who relied on his money to survive, he preyed and took advantage of my goodwill for others to keep me silent. I talked with him 3 times after that. I wanted for him to tell the truth, but each time he deceived and omitted the truth to save his skin. Not to the staff, not to the admins, not to anyone. He tried to praise out of nowhere in the staff meeting, and it felt so forced and fake. He cornered in a voice call to discuss my proposal, and he questioned my professionalism over 3 years by asking if I would run with the group if he accepted. He asked why I lost faith in him, and that was a very loaded question, one that was difficult to answer without letting on more than I know and without endangering Kelly's confidentiality. So I made it clear that I did not lose faith in him, but I feared my team is getting hurt. I feel my team's getting hurt. Could the worst come, and he would get canceled for his actions. I will be transparent. He made me a deal that should get canceled. The group that I organized would transition to me. Now that deal has no bearing, as I was never under any contract with him. Let any contract for all my position. So he had no control over me or the people in that server. He did try his best to make it seem like he did, and I will not lie, I felt so vulnerable my entire time talking with him. The worst thing I had experienced in that call was when he had the audacity to make me walk through the thought process of removing Kelly as if it was some sort of loyalty test. To make me say that he had every right to remove her for any reason. But technically, yes, he did have the power to remove anyone for any reason, but that did not make it right, not one bit. I was being honest when I said I didn't lose faith in him. I always look to the good in people. However, little there may have been to learn and be better. But I lost what little faith I had after that last call. And I made up my mind that he doesn't deserve me. Kelly, the women he abused, the artists, the musicians, and every single person in his community, not one person. Closing. I implore everyone to read all these stories and keep them to heart, because believe the victims and stand up to the abuse and manipulation. I said it before and I will say it again. The nights I spent talking with Kelly and mutually supporting each other through this, I could not help but admire the strength and endurance she displayed that so many women and others have displayed in the past day. I feel sorry for what you endured all these years, and I'm so sorry that I did not realize how bad it was until now. I feel sorry that I was not strong enough to speak my story until now. I am thankful for everyone who supported me through this endeavor and who have chosen to stuck with me as we grow past it. But thank you most of all Kelly for being the wind keeping me aloft, and the echo for my shackling voice and the voice of so many others. Goodbye, Arcadum. Take this harsh lesson and be better. And that is Crystal's Twitlonger. Oh, and this is her, another Twitlonger, to say sorry to the people she's fucked over unintentionally. But I think I'll skip that one. All right, what do we have next? Splats. All right. What Twitlonger are we on now? I think 17. I would like to share my experience to show he has a pattern of behavior that can't be hidden anymore. Not only how he treats his female friends, but the artists and developers he employs for his projects. All the women coming forward, I believe you. I knew and talked with some of you about the shit he pulled. I didn't know the worst of it. I am so sorry. I am so glad all of you put the pieces together with plenty of receipts to back you up. I'm sorry you had to endure this manipulation, gaslighting, and sexual advances. I'm sorry for the artists and creatives he mistreated and took credit for constantly. Please read everyone's experiences to get the full picture. I do not know how to go about wording this, So sorry if there's a typo here and there. I'll keep this as short as I can. A lot of my interactions were in VR chat and voice calls, mostly for Callus Row reasons. For that, I don't have recordings, obviously, but any screenshots I have I will share if they are pertinent to the context, if they pertain to the context. I met Arcadum through Lyra, someone else we talked about earlier, or read a Twitlonger from earlier, one of my very close friends who helped me apply for Callus Row Season 1. I was with her in VR chat when he happened to request off of her to talk to her. He said he was going through some stuff and that if I could be trusted not to say anything. He then cried about his marriage and how he was felt vulnerable, verbally abused, etc., etc. I barely knew him, but he just went on and on and on, and it was kind of a shock to me that someone so popular was going through all this stuff. He was always scared of lies and slander that could get out and get him cancelled. How women he thought were friends were talking behind his back. I only have several instances over the span of weeks with him wanting company. Over the span of a couple weeks with him wanting company. This was back in mid-2020. I was never alone with him, though, as when he would come to cry or watch movies/anime in VR chat with me and said mutual friend. Although he wanted to talk privately sometimes when I showed up, so I would wait or just leave the world. Either way, he has done this to many others. At the time, I thought I was just being there for someone going through a rough time. I do not think he ever hit on me because I identified pretty vehemently as a lesbian at the time. That didn't stop him from masturbating in a Discord call to another lesbian. That was another one. That was another really shocking thing that came out of all this. He masturbated to an openly lesbian girl in Discord. So this person's lesbian too, but I know that won't stop him. Hello, Nicholas Diorio. How are you doing? Probably gonna be doing a gaming stream with Augie later, so we can hang out then if you want to. And I hope you're doing good progress on your new video coming out soon. Everybody should be subscribed to Nicholas Diorio if they're not. Very good commentator, but he doesn't upload that much. But when he does, it's a banger. He works really hard on his videos. Regardless, let's continue reading this Twitlonger. Where was he? Oh yeah, lesbian at the time. He would joke about hating me for being a filthy het when I would show up in the calls I hung out with Lyra. He would DM me on occasion just being like, "You are poggers," or something. One sentence combos, nothing out of the ordinary, but I was talking with other friends, many of who came forward and about his behavior towards them. $20! Biggest donation I've gone so far. $20 from Rock and Rune. Deep fried pizza rolls. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. At the time, they were scared about not being believed. I agreed with them. Arcadum was up and coming and held so much power over them. Anything she said was just blown off as drama that Arcadum didn't want to deal with. He was financially backing some of them. He used it over them to keep them speaking out. Things didn't get anywhere because people I talked with weren't comfortable. But I told him that I would have their back if anything ever came out. Arcadum, in those movie hangouts with Lyra, would constantly say, How am I the bad guy? Am I creepy to you at all? He would have to console him and say, No, Arcadum. Although now in hindsight, I cringe at everything being said. Sketchu and Qer, which are two girls that we read Twitlongers from earlier. I don't know if we read Sketchu's yet. We might have. I know we read this person's though. Either way, they were dealing with a lot, and I heard and saw a lot of behind the scenes for Callus Row. They were paid late constantly, and Sketchu was stressed out. It was affecting her health. He would make up excuses for missing planned meetings, saying he was so tired with his D&D stuff, and then he would go play games in his Discord for hours or stream games for hours. He would try to take initiative as staff to work on Callus Row without him, but he wanted it that way. Read Sketchu's statement for more. We either already have or we will soon. There was one private meeting in particular that came up with Sketchu and Curie and a couple other developers about Callus Row. I was there to back Sketchu and Curie up with payments being late, and I saw firsthand how he talked to them. Arcadum yelled and screamed at me when I asked when he was the last time he paid Sketchu and Curie. Thank you for the $2, Brandon. You are poggers. Thank you so much. Saying things along the lines of, how dare you accuse me of not paying my artist? Do you know how much money I spend? Etc. I was shocked he was lying to my face. I saw the unpaid invoices and paperwork of all the work Sketchu and Curie did for him. Curie had his receipts and said he wasn't paid his latest invoice. Arcadum made up the excuse of having to wait till Twitch paid him. It ended pretty rough, as Sketchu was gaslight along with Curie, I really don't know how to say that name, QYR, I'll just say QYR, and in the end he paid the invoices. He DM'd me to apologize to me, not Sketchu or QYR, for losing his temper, and I talked with them later. He had never apologized for an outburst at them, only to me. I did stress cry with Sketchu. I had never been talked down to like that when I was only trying to give him advice on proper contracts for them. This is from October 16th, 2020. Arcadum. I hope we are cool. It was not my intention to lose my cool or anything. She responds, yeah, we are cool, dude. They just had things they want to discuss. I know things get heated. I just didn't mean it that way. Thank you for DMing them about it. I know you got a lot on your plate, obviously. QYR and Sketchu are working super hard along with everyone too. I know this will be great. Yeah, I know they are. Sorry it got a bit heated too. Literally didn't mean to make you feel attacked. It was just stuff that needed to be discussed off stream. There was a player who had his own call out that had to be dealt with. Me and many others on staff were trying to get him out ASAP. And Arcadum took me coming to him as an attack on him not trusting him with the process. He asked me to call with Lyra. He asked to call with me and Lyra when we were trying to explain why he made it about us not trusting him. Why he didn't have access to this private call we were in her server. How we didn't trust him and were attacking him in the end we were manipulated into apologizing. It still irks me to this day how he dealt with Tate's stuff. React to his apology on Twitter. It's pretty funny. I did that at the beginning of the stream, unless he has a new one. Alright. Okay, PGHFDS. DAS. Hey Arcadum, just a reminder, I sent the invoice. Check your email if you can. Yo Arcadum, this is like a day later. Yo Arcadum, not to bug you or anything, but I sent the invoice on Tuesday. It's now November 1st, and I have student loans and things to pay. So if you could check your PayPal for my invoice and pay it by the end of the day, it would be great. The email I sent is under spatulalive@.ca. It should be paid. Got it. Thanks, bro. Hey, Arcadum. Hey, Arcadum, I know you're busy, so whenever you get the chance to read, I know you're friends with Tate, etc., and you said you were dealing with it, but people on Twitter are outspoken, and this tweet sums up my feelings on the matter. Keeping him on Callus Row won't just affect myself, but everyone involved. His raid team already put out a statement that he's stepping down/out, and it might be good for him and you if you do the same, at least for now, for Callus Row. I don't know, Callus Row is probably like a VR chat project or whatever. I don't know how to go about it. This honestly really sucks, but I'm already getting DMs about just being mutuals on Twitter with him and had to address it. I'm not going to say anything more publicly unless I get asked about Callus Row and Gloop, but myself and everyone else, every other player does not need shit like this to ruin its reputation. We'll likely, as mods, bring it up on Sunday meeting, but lots of us agree if Tate is given a pass to participate, he gotta walk. It's not just his reputation, but people still associating with him that aren't as big as the big name streamers are getting flack by association, and it's uncomfortable and not fair for them/myself/other players. So in my opinion, he needs to step out of Callus Row. Again, sorry for this wall of text, but I'm trying to help since I only see one outcome if he's let to stay. Thank you for the $5, Nathan Drake. Let's see if we can zoom in here on this. No, the words are too pixelated. It's impossible. So she just shows him Twitter arguments or whatever. He responds, I told people I will handle it, and I'm giving people time to get their shit together. I will do the right thing. This message makes me feel. Alright. I'm bringing this up because his Nest team has already addressed it and other players are getting mentioned, myself included, in just being mutuals or getting DMs on why I am associating with someone, and like I said, I'm not blaming you for not being fast enough for a decision or anything. I'm just giving you my 2 cents so you're not out of the loop. It just does not feel good, and I'm letting you know as a mod on Callus Row, that's all. Like, people don't have faith in me. You're just letting me know you will all leave. Won't even hear my ruling. Arcadum, it's not about that. I'm literally just communicating. Well, you communicated. Thank you. It's a team effort. That's all I will say. I believe in your decisions. I just hate seeing shit like this unfold. It sucks. Yeah, I know it sucks. I'm in the middle of a fuck storm. Yeah. And you don't have to deal with it alone, okay? I'm going to call a meeting this week. Okay. We also have our regular staff meetings on Sunday. So I'll pop up and we can relay what is said again, and have another meeting if you need, of course. You there? Yes. I got some time and I need to talk to you and Lyra. Okay, we in Lyra's Discord. Sorry again for adding to your stress. Just know I agree with you and I hope things work out. It's all good. At everyone, please be respectful of one of our members going through some Twitter backlash. I will handle it myself, but there is no need to exacerbate this problem further. Yo, thanks for the $2, NFL Block Boy. Hell yeah, take that blunt. He rarely thanked anyone for their work that they put into Callus Row. This, obviously goes in line with the, emotional D&D call we listened to earlier, where someone said they're not being, appreciated enough for their hard work. When he did, it was like pulling teeth, where he would then say how hard he was working when he was never around. He may have financed Callus Row, but the staff and the players' work is what made it function. He talked down to people helping him constantly and took everything as an attack. I've said my piece. I believe the woman, artists, and people coming forward about him. Go support them over him, please. He's gone away with this for far too long. So that is her story. And so far, we have caught up with a lot of stuff. Let me check the Reddit thread, as I think they have all of the Twitlongers here. Oh. So we've done Ashley, we've done Trika, Cry, Crystals, Jades, Lyra, Momo, Nomi, Oblivious. Don't think we've talked about Oblivious. What else? We've got Quiana, Sketchu. I don't know if we've done Sketchu. Let me see if I recognize what's in here. No, this is a new one. Sci-fi Free. No, we haven't done that one either. We've done Summer, Red, Remy, Uzu. Okay. Thank you for the $10, Kai Bai. We have 3 more Twitlongers to go. So we might be able to finish this stream. And then I'm going to play video games on my other channel for streaming. Alright. Let us start with Oblivious. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good, all things considered. I actually really like streaming on this channel. I normally stream on my second channel with like maybe 100 viewers or less. But this is pretty nice. I might do some just chatting streams here in the future. I'm sorry I'm not interacting with chat that much. I'm just trying to get through this. But yeah. Let's continue with Oblivious, my feelings and disappointments towards someone I looked up to. With the outpouring of emotions, testimonies, and eye-opening information that's come to light since I started doing my rounds on Twitter this evening, I don't have much of anything to say or add that I don't think hasn't been said already, but given how this has affected many of my closest friends, saying nothing feels wrong. Before I get into my personal thoughts, I would encourage everyone to form their own opinions on the matter by first reading through the threads written by many of the brave women speaking out about Arcadum, which we have done. Arcadum was a close friend and mentor figure for me during a very crazy time in my life. In early 2018, I'd just graduated college, was struggling to get my footing with my apartments and adult life, was just beginning my journey as a Twitch streamer, and was only a few months into the start of HRT. To say that I was scared and uncertain at that point in my life would have been an understatement. Arcadum and I met while role-playing, and he took me under his wing and helped instill a level of self-respect and confidence in me that I didn't know I needed. He would frequently give me advice and help inspire me to chase after my goals and aspirations when it came to Twitch and the role-plays I took part in. Fast forwarding to now, it's been gut-wrenching for me to read some of the things that have happened behind closed doors, both to close friends of mine, but also to many fellow creators and role players that I work with and look up to. I generally steer clear of drama, but as certain things reached my ears from behind the curtain, I found myself saying, maybe he's just going through something, and there's something more to this that I am seeing. As if to defend the man who I respected and looked up to. Having read a number of posts today, I can only express a deep and humbling level of regret and disappointment. Not only because I looked up to Arcadum, but because I defended a man I thought I knew and respected. For now, I can only offer my deepest condolences to all my friends, women, and fellow creators that have been negatively affected by him, whether they've directly spoken out or not, and I hope that they can eventually grow beyond the pain he's caused. Perhaps the testimonies given today are a sign that it's still possible. I'm still finding it difficult to put all my thoughts and feelings into words, but at for the time being, at least one thing still feels certain to me right now. I want something good to come from all of this in regards to Callus Row, a project and community that I've been incredibly invested in over the past year and a half or so, and that I feel so much bigger, is so much bigger than everything that's come out over the past several hours. More than 160 amazing role players and thousands of fans helping to contribute their love and passion to it, and I want to help it continue grow and become something more than the shadow that has been cast over it, because as a community, I feel we are far more than the pain caused by one person. Very good statement. Finally, we have someone who isn't directly, negatively affected by him, other than feeling bad for their fellow, people. So there we go. We have Sci-Fry here. I'm going to take a drink of water for a minute. What's up, Veronica? How you doing? All right. My feelings as a former fan, friend, and worker of Arcadum. I don't feel like I have much to add, but saying nothing feels wrong. I'll first start off by saying the stories of the girls who have been victimized should absolutely be heard before mine. You can start by following the thread here. We've already done that. Secondly, I want to say that the entire situation has blindsided me. I'm collecting my thoughts, so this post will likely be an incoherent ramble, and in some ways, as the saying goes, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. Let's start from the beginning. I found Arcadum through Steer's Overwatch streams in 2016. That's when I started watching. I didn't even use my Twitch account back then. Streaming was something I had done on and off to screen share Hearthstone games to my buddies in TeamSpeak. I didn't even know that streaming D&D was a thing that was possible. I started streaming consistently in 2016. The first thing I streamed was my weekly D&D games to a measly 3 viewers. I made friends in that space that encouraged me to keep streaming. I always thought that I owed that to Arcadum for inspiring me. I idolized him for it. Yeah, I really am reading all of these. I'm so far deep in that I'm not giving up now. I'm reading every one. Fast forward to 2018. This is when a VR chat world I met That's when in a VR chat world I met Arcadum for the first time. I introduced myself and explained that I was a fan of his work, and we became friends. I remember a conversation we had where I was talking about his D&D games, and he told me he wasn't used to having people be familiar with his stuff. He talked a lot back then. We became closer friends. I would be the first to be excited about any project he had cooking up. When Arcadum invited me to play D&D for the first time, it felt surreal. When I went to TwitchCon 2018, I felt like a fish out of water. I had never traveled that far from home. I had just gotten partnered a few months back, and I was very much still a soft-spoken and in-my-shell type of person. Arcadum and I never spoke much, but I still got to hang out with him and enjoy myself. Shortly after TwitchCon 2018, most of my online friend circle ended up ghosting me over an unrelated incident. Months passed, and I was with a completely new circle of friends. It was at that time that Arcadum had messaged me asking if I wanted to get involved in a VR RP project he was cooking up. I jumped at the chance. This project would be a test bed for what would become Callus Row, a project so wide in scope that it reignited my lost interest for VR chat RP, as well as reconnected me with a lot of people I haven't spoken to in years. It was incredible, and it came time to expand the project into a Season 2. I got involved as a DM, Dungeon Master. Let's talk about my work on Callus Row. But I put a lot of work into Callus Row, even stepping up to be the sole admin for the majority of Season 2 and run the Discord of 150 plus role players and all viewers while still being the head of our entire DM team. I did not begrudge the amount of work. It was busy work that Arcadum didn't have time for, and I was more than happy to do it. Sky sends €2. Monkey, restore the chain. Also wonderful stream. Thank you. Sadly, Boblex reads 10 times faster than me, and I'm not dyslexic. Yeah, I feel like I read slow. You know, when you read for a living on YouTube, you definitely get better at it over time. You know, as you could tell throughout the myriad of streams, the couple of streams I did, sometimes I'm better at reading than others at certain times. It's really kind of hit or miss. But right now, I think I'm doing pretty well. So let's continue. Arcadum would often invite his big streamer friends into Callus Row and have them make characters without giving them any direction and info on what they were doing and how the RP functioned. I did that for them, and I'm grateful that my work became noticed by those people. Arcadum at no point during Season 2 of Callus Row, save the finale, give any of the map DMs or myself any lead on where the main plot of the season was going. I worked hard with my DM team to create storylines that we could run independently and try out best to run the RP on basically no info. I'm thankful to my DMs for keeping up with me. This might just be emotional rambling, but at no point do I ever feel like the amount I put into the project was even seen by Arcadum, let alone acknowledged. I didn't care, I wasn't in it for thanks. I wanted to work on something great, and Callus Row was that. Let's talk about my friendship with Arcadum. I honestly can't remember the last time I had a conversation with him that wasn't strictly business. The past 5 months I've been expanding my workload to include things like Vernum token creation and map tool server hosting. All things I was happy to do. Not the type of innate conversation with other people out of the blue. And I figured he wasn't. I'm not the type to initiate conversation with other people out of the blue, and I figured he wasn't either. Whatever the case, I can't honestly say we were ever at the point of being close friends. Well, you know, Arcadum does initiate a lot of conversation. The problem is, the conversation he initiates is not that great. I did not take notice of Arcadum's preferences for including his female friends in many of his projects and promoting their streams. Female voices are often overshadowed in the D&D community, and I figured that he was using his platform to encourage those voices. I never saw behind the curtain. When I think about the time and effort I've spent fervently defending the man I thought he was, I can't help but feel like I may have played a part in preventing people from speaking out. That thought sickens me to my core. I'm sorry to the girls involved. As for my future, I have not decided if I'm staying with Callus Row team as we take over the project and continue development on our own terms, and I have my own stream and D&D campaign to work on. One thing is for sure, I am done living in someone else's shadow. Alright. Now, the final Twitlonger. The final Twitlonger that we know of. I will be looking for more after this to see if I missed anything. I know Devin Nash said something and we'll read that, but this might be like the second to last one. Sketchu. Working with Arcadum. Intro. I want to send my support to those coming out with the recent stories. Thank you so much for being so brave. I'm not entirely comfortable with going into detail and about how hellish it was to work for the man, but I will say this much, working with Arcadum. I wrote the initial first drafts and map plans with QYR on Callus Row. When Arcadum first approached me about it. To say I'm invested in Callus Row is a massive understatement. I've seen it from its literal beginning, and even then, with the way he treated me when I was working on the project, made me many times want to drop everything and leave. There was yelling and gaslighting that occurred frequently in the meetings that were supposed to be professional. The simple inquiry and concern about my art that was made for Callus Row being utilized in another project pitch was met with such aggression, with him telling me that if I don't like it, I can leave. The act of sending an invoice terrified me. That is really fucked up. By the time of Season 2 finale, I felt paralyzed. The biggest thing that kept me going was wanting to see Callous Row reach an end and provide a wonderful world and characters for the players and community. I'm so grateful for all the support during that, now, and onwards. Callous Row. I want to stress that Callous Row belongs to the community. I want to stress that Callous Row was built by the developers and role players. He did fuck all. The minimum input and info required from him would take days or weeks to get. To say he made Callous Row always brings me so much pain. To hear him say it was a side project, albeit the truth for him, it's still painful because of the attitude and audacity of it all. He didn't make Callous Row, he paid for Callous Row. $5 from Laughing Demon, final Twitlonger for now. For now. We'll probably find a couple more to read with how many are going around, but yeah, this is like the last major one, I guess. The world you see and the people inhabiting it, he didn't write any of it. He contributed basic lore and didn't update or elaborate on it. There was writing solely needed that he never provided. When others tried to fill in the gaps, he would throw a tantrum. He guilt trip and blame staff for trying to write what was needed for the wonderful stories trying to be told. And again, when saying all this from the standpoint of being there since Callous Row's conception, it was like watching him actively sabotage and try to kill his own child's creation, which at this point was fully raised by the staff and developers. I know Callous Row can continue out of his shadow, and in a way it always has. I know Callous Row can continue out of his shadow, and in a way it always has. Please understand that it is not just Arkham's heart poured into the project, but over 160 passionate creators. Please enjoy their amazing contributions. Alright! Now I know we have a statement from Devin Nash. Worked with him, so we're gonna read that because people wanted me to read it on the first stream and I didn't. Luckily, it is very short. I can fit it all on one screen. Apparently, he's like a business partner of his. My official naval response to the Arcadum situation. I will not disclose the information Arcadum initially told me regarding this event, as he has told me in client confidence. I was fully informed 3 days ago. He was not remotely truthful with our agency and has reported a vastly different situation than these women corroborated. On the morning of August 30th, based on knowledge he had given to us prior to the women coming out, he offered to fund a third-party investigation to discern the truth. We offered to fund a third-party investigation to discern the truth of his initial claim. Needless to say now, the investigation is no longer required. I love Dungeons & Dragons and was honored to represent Arcadum for his contribution to it. I fell in love with Arcadum's world of Vernum. As a role player in multiple games of his, a leader in Callous Row, and as an agent supporting his business, I am beyond betrayed and disappointed. I'm so sorry for the women affected. Many of you I know and collaborated with. I wish I had any idea then of what you were going through. I am tired of having to see tweets from women suffering this kind of abuse with no remorse. Fortunately, and finally, I am in a unique position to show that in this industry, actions can and should have consequences. Matt and I started Novo to stand against predatory ethical practices in this industry. We are making another step in that direction today. We wholeheartedly condemn this behavior and will not suffer it. Effective immediately, we are terminating Arcadum's contract with our agency. We are ending all business and advising our partners to do the same. This is not to our benefit. We will lose $20,000 in merchandise inventory and multiple business deals in circulation. I am also stepping away from my participation in Arcadum's D&D games and brand permanently. I want to make a clear statement. We stand with the brave women who came out despite the difficulty and pressure of doing so. I encourage others to do the same. Very well spoken. Now, I'm gonna double check on some of these threads to see if there's any more, because These people have like linked other stories. Some people link different ones. Oh no, Chica, we did do. Okay, Kelly. Oh, we went through all of Kelly's. Cries. Summer, Red, Uzu, Momo, Flanka, Kelly, Remy, Jades, Chica. Okay. Momo. Shared Lyra, Cry, Naomi, Summer, Uzu, Flanka, Kelly. Lyra, Chris, Naomi, Summer, Uzu, Flianka, Kelly, Momo, Ashley, Steers, Sketchu. Wait, did we read Sketchu's statement? Yeah, we did. We did. Summer. She didn't share. Oh, she did share some additional ones, but they're ones we already read. Flanka. Thank you for the $2, Josh. My name's Josh, too. Lyra, Kelly, Momo, Red, Naomi, Summer, Cry. Okay. Oh, Rubber Raw shared his support. Nice. Like that guy. Lyra. Remy. Jades. Chica. Ashley. Stir. Crystal. Alright, so there is one more thing I want to read before we get off, because it'd be nice to reach the 3-hour mark again, and also it was something I skipped, and I was thinking like, oh, I probably shouldn't have skipped that. Oh, unpin. So, I don't know where it is. It was like earlier on. It was a old Google Doc made on Arcadum in January that he manipulated people into ignoring. And I don't know exactly which Twitlonger it was in. So let me just try and find that. God damn, I just forgot which one it was in. Do you guys remember which story had the Google Doc in it? I know it was like earlier on. Okay, while I look for this, let me ask you in chat. Let's have a little bit of a chat. What do you think about this whole situation? Out of everything we've read over the past couple days, like, what stands out to you the most while I look for this? Like, what is the most shocking part? Well, there's a lot of, like, different parts. I mean, him fapping to someone in Discord was crazy. Let's not cry. The Flanka story was like really fucking sad. Jerking off in VR chat. Oh yeah, the lap dances in VR chat. The percentage. I think the funniest part was when he said, he's like, this is why I don't play Among Us with people anymore. That one was kind of funny. Not Lyra. Momo, Naomi, Oblivious. I can't find it. There's, oh my god. Okay, so the fact that there's so many Twitlongers that I'm like having trouble finding a specific one with a specific link, really it tells you what's going on with this guy, you know? Let me just double check on Twitter if there's any more Arcadum Twitlongers, and if there's not, I think I'll get off. Feels like this would never end, so it feels a little weird to get off, but you know. Those are the allegations. There is an end. My story as a viewer, 7 likes. Even viewers are making Twitlongers now. What? This has 7 likes. It's in the Naomi Twitlonger. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I think the Naomi Twitlonger was definitely like one of the most revealing ones. Alright. Oh no, that's the call. Here we go. This is the last thing we're gonna read. And then I'm off. Alright. To preface this, please know that this piece was not made with malicious intent. All of the authors have been part of and helped the development of the living world for at least a year, some even longer. And as the living world has grown, problems have arisen. These growing pains have been addressed from time to time, and smaller problems have been fixed. However, there are some key issues with the system of how the living world works that have been either overlooked or dismissed as not a problem. We have tried to highlight some of these big issues and put examples of it to show these are not one-off incidents, one-off accidents, and are consistent. Repeated problems. So for those of you who don't know, this is a document that was made on January, so before Arcadum got exposed by everybody, and this document was referenced in a lot of the DMs we wrote of like bullshit that the girls shouldn't be listening to. So this is like the first like big expose of Arcadum, I guess. Please note that this was made out of a position of and like obviously he's going to be writing this not like with the context of anybody supporting him. Like he's going out on a limb here. Like he doesn't have any backup with this, presumably, at the time of making it. Please note that I made this out of a position of respect. The living world is what gave us passion and gave us a place to be creative with other like-minded individuals. All we want to do is make this place better. With that said, the problem with the living world is that good things rarely come when promised and bad things never stop. Bubbles and bottleneck. Common examples are research and factional agenda rewards. Oftentimes, these take constant reminders to the Latticens in charge of this content, and to get resolved on reasonable timescales for players, they often have been stuck behind work to be done by Arcadum to dictate how they should be done, and if they are delegated for others to be done in the first place. These bottlenecks often drag out processes that have been taking long times to march to completion to begin with, i.e. adding several more months to a research/agenda that already took real-life months to complete in character. The bottleneck/delays are often felt the most when they are delayed to irrelevance. Additionally, even DMs and staff feel the bottleneck, especially when it comes to lore. As a DM, we are told to ask a gatekeeper first regarding questions about lore, but if they don't have answers, we submit a lore request that will be gone during the meeting. However, if Arcadum didn't show up to a meeting, little can be done. The lack of information can delay a mission for weeks on end. If Arcadum is the common bottleneck, he needs to be available when he says he is, and if he is not going to make the time that he needs to let the parties know well in advance, 1 day in advance minimum, especially when it comes to scheduled meetings, everyone's time needs to be respected, not just Arcadum's. Scheduled a meeting on January 4th, canceled the morning of to stream Lost Odyssey despite outstanding work to be done. Delegating one fight and other possible work/meetings shoved to the wayside for a Rust server release of some sort. This is a clear deregulation of duty. People of all walks of life took time out of their schedule to plan for this fight at the scheduled time. To suddenly drop a schedule to change their heads with very little notice is quite frankly an insult to those players in the mission, especially those who have strict or unusual schedules. So a little bit of context for this. This was a document in which Arcadum showed to girls and other people and said that he hated this document and didn't want to share it because it insulted the staff. But in reality, this document only criticizes him. So it's like an excuse. Additionally, Arcadum needs to increase his availability for those who need it most, like the admins, who are all, if not most, are based in NA. 2 a.m. availability is not available for most in charge of running the server. Related, if Arcadum has time to randomly spend time in VC with everyone, he has time to address requests and issues that needs his attention. To be in a public space makes it appear he doesn't wish to address the problems of the server, especially to those who are aware of the laundry list of things he actually needs to work on. Jessica sent 5. I wish Boblex would be me bedtime stories every night. That's funny. Thank you for the donation. Inconsistencies. There have been many times where Arcadum would tell different things to staff and then to stream. And while it's fine to keep viewers in the dark about things, oftentimes this information presented is outright contradictory to what DMs are told. Saying the living world won't have refracted souls to staff versus saying to the subs in VC, it's better the Violet Blast hit or era instead of whatever, something about D&D. Previously stated promise/rewards. They were made on record, do not always match up with the resulting rewards if they even materialized in the first place. Decisions like this have knock-on effects. Players may defer certain opportunities for the newest promised content. If the content does not arrive in a timely manner or in a promised form, players may feel burned by the outcome, and the content simply becomes another broken promise to go complain about in public spaces. Backlog and time investment. The time skills required for players to get relevant are often on the 6-month level at the bare minimum, and that assumes the best case scenarios, including availability to play in games, quality loot drops, and RP. And most likely, in common scenarios, it will take a year, if not more, to get caught up to speed. These timescales consequentially mean that losing a character is a monumental setback, unlike most experienced on the server. This is why random violent death, especially when the affected player has no possible response due to real-life obligations or needs, is so ardently despised. To put some of the problems in context, a 50-day craft item, or DL agenda/research, under the current bloated averages of 6 days per week, will take 8 to 9 weeks. That is roughly 2 months of a whole 6 of a year, and $10 in sub money. To tell players to wait around for so long for their rewards is frankly too much, especially with the prospects of dying out of the blue on the table. And that is without mentioning the likely wait times after or before the player working on paying down that downtime/crafting day figure. Using a real-life example, Nitro lost a shield he had never used before, costing 120 crafting days to make in a single moment. Using the more reasonable 4.5 day average to estimate the crafting time, it took around 27 weeks to make the item, excluding material acquisition. This is half a year dedicated to a single item, $30 of sub money, 2/3 of the current pandemic. What is ultimately frustrating about this sort of situation is crafting is, in essence, just waiting on one of the slowest timers in the world to tick up. There is no gameplay tied to it, it is just waiting and doing nothing of real relevance. Nitro waited around 27 weeks for his item, and then it had it stolen from him in a microscopic fraction of the time it took him to make it. Staff often bear the brunt of workloads of the server at the cost of their time and availability. In addition to effectively every week, Arcadum stacks more work on the pile without regard for the glut of backlog of their work to begin with, and he prioritizes his own staff over long-awaited content. To state more clearly, Violet action/events were prioritized over long outstanding promised content such as VNPC missions or factional bonds. By the way, I don't know what any of this means. Well, hopefully some of you do. Finally, when work streams do occur, they add a mess of content to the backs of already overworked DMs and staff to get done, which leads to slower content creation as staff scrambles to organize a game plan with how to deal with all the new work to be done. Content prioritization. Promised and rewarded content is often put on the back burner for Arcadum's things. This increases wait times and decreases the quality of the resulting content. The failure of prioritization has led to some content becoming completely irrelevant as the possible rewards fail to be given to players in time to help with problems they were designed to solve, or in some cases, to be used by people who earned the content in the first place. Great Bazaar and Ara are examples of this content being pushed into oblivion by Arcadum's own actions and choices. The resulting feeling is that players are not allowed to grow and develop, and instead are punished at every turn for the inactions and priorities of those in charge of content creation prioritization. How could players even take control of the situation if they are always reacting to the violet, and the DMs/staff are preoccupied with working on stuff generated by the Violet's actions? Streamers versus living world. Honestly, the major problem with this is that the way Arcadum handles the stream games highlights the inefficiencies with the living world. Arcadum can handle things immediately with them. while it takes months to work on living world things. And while this is understandable as living world is much larger, this is why we believe more knowledge given to the DMs and staff lore-wise could speed up processes. Living world players are often affected disproportionately by stream game players' actions. While living world players can make impacts, they are often held back by delays in content creation / executions, and also the effects created by stream players, which in turn can delay the content creation further, leading to a sense of inequality between players and leading to living world players to voice their discontent at the status quo. Related, Inquisition was promised a dream-related campaign related to the Silent Knights. However, due to the streamer group's choices, that campaign was cancelled. The Inquisition was still waiting on the promised replacement campaign or some sort of compensation for missed opportunities due to the campaign being promised and players foregoing other opportunities, so they may reap rewards for the promised content. Meanwhile, the streamers feel entitled to their stories and characters despite their supposed equality with living world players, so when living world players do occasionally make ripples felt by the streamer groups, sometimes the streamers lash out, resulting in more tension between the two groups. See, Moon having been told not to be an asshole to the server players by an admin, and various fights between Sheen. Okay, what is this tweet? All right. Let's play this.
I normally don't talk about this kind of stuff because it makes people treat me differently. And they think I'm a liar, I'm delusional, or even worse, they believe me and then they watch everything that they say around me. That's why I don't tell people it. That's also why I don't play Among Us.
That is amazing. Fucking Among Us. Oh my god, that was like definitely the funniest part of this drama. Holy shit. Okay, let's finish this off. How much more do we have to go? Okay. Fuck. Okay. Seeing Moon Moon having me told not to be an asshole to the server players by admin and various fights between Sheen and others. Additionally, players have been pretty quick to spot inequalities between the two groups, which further fuels this discontent at the state of things further. What? So there's like a streamer group for this Dungeons and Dragons thing, and then there's like a non-streamer offline group. If your goal is to make content, why would you even open up a non-streamer D&D campaign? I don't get it. I just think it's dumb. You're like, Arcadum was definitely putting too much on his plate. Okay. Mork's Nat 1 on Violet Blast did not instantly kill him like it did in Living World characters, probably done to prevent a fail state. But why don't Living World people get the chance to be that impactful or not get screwed over? The Tops factions was made in record time, while other long-promised factions, such as the Dragon Knights, as a faction earned by players, have been promised for longer and delayed for no clear reasons. Even if it was delayed for legitimate reasons, no one in the living world was really aware of what they were. No one in the this needs to be a level of transparency with why some things get delayed, otherwise people will believe it just to be another broken promise. The violent doesn't get a fair fight. It's becoming less of the violent doesn't get a fair fight, and more of Arcadum doesn't fair fight due to the fact that he has some good things cannot get resolved until Arcadum finds time. Meanwhile, all violent actions get resolved as soon as possible. Dude, everybody has to like fucking bow down and like go to Arcadum for for anything. It's like their mom or dad. Mom, can I do this? Dad, someone's being mean to me. Oftentimes, it felt that the players were being punished for the inefficiencies of the DM team and Arcadum as a direct result. The D-Sanger research and the related DM delayed missions are good examples of this in action. Additionally, in the social contract we enter as we play D&D, we the participants, including the DM, are expected to play by the rules and expected norms. How are we as players supposed to react to the play? How are we as players supposed to react and play the game when the rules of the game are so obscured so thoroughly and our rewards doled out so infrequently? I am a storyteller. Yes, at the end of the day, there's an inherent difference between the storyteller and the characters that play in the world. But this Violet problem isn't something that only a few select people have. Honestly, at this point, most people with active living world characters have had some grievance with the Violet. And it's not that people inherently hate the Violet because it's the big bad. So I guess it's like the main villain of the story. It's because the Violet is done in such a manner that completely isolates the players and gives them a sense of hopelessness. And initially, that can be seen as a good thing, as good pieces of media like video games and movies that move people emotionally are seen as good things. And D&D differs in that regard. The difference between a D&D character and a generic video game protagonist is that a D&D character is truly made. It's not just a bunch of different sliders in a customization menu inserted into a pre-scripted story. There's a lot more freedom and ability to truly choose how to react. You're not limited by 3 hard options. So, when someone you love and have watched grow is instantly killed while you were asleep and you couldn't do anything, yes, people are going to feel bad. And then, when you see a stream character get a nat 1 on something that killed your character, and the stream character gets to live, you get angry. To act as if players' feelings are mere opinion and should have no impact on the game's design is simply put as ignorant. Games are independent on the players. If the player feels that their time is wasted and emotions negatively manipulated, you will drive players away. And it is a sure sign of bad game design. So this one thing that Arcadum has said in many calls, this is my life. This is the only thing I'm good at. I'm only good at making D&D campaigns. I'm only good at making RP. I suck dick at everything else. He sucks at that too. We have seen it with others before already. The expedition/campaign situation in Phase 2 was a perfect example of this in action before, where players felt punished by the systems in place and drove some away. Good game design should not do this, and as it stands, we are more likely to keep bleeding veteran players as the situation worsens. While that may not be felt since there is often a new player to replace them, these players will get wise to the situation unfolding as they learn more and more about the server and its systems, and possibly leave as their situations worsen. Criticism. Criticism is not handled in a professional manner. His first instinct when seeing criticism is to complain about it in public and nitpick every failing of the criticism so as to shame the people complaining and curry flavor to his side to best discard the feedback despite any genuine criticisms that fueled the complaint in the first place. The Reddit post VC incident of December 29th comes to mind. The Phase 2's organization around campaigns, and multiple times he attacked criticism of it until he folded and admitted his failures. Prior criticisms of nerfing items despite the heavy time commitments he puts into the items, or heavy time commitment put into the items by various people. Addressing criticism in public isolates the audience, where people will either agree with what is said or disagree, although in public it will look like it is being disagreed with heavily. However, addressing such complaints in public often brings up an issue much of your audience probably not hearing about such a problem before, but criticizing in public practically puts a spotlight on it. Arcadum's goals. Overall, these goals are being set up. These goals being set up are fairly large, or rather large. Good thing I'm done with this soon, because I can't speak, and could be lauded for being ambitious. But when the fundamentals of the server and the stream are being ignored, it becomes laughable and painfully ignorant to the situation unfolding. Things like the campaign setting book can be incredibly frustrating, considering Arcadum's hesitancy actually share lore to DMs as necessary to run the server as currently is. If there is going to be less of a focus on D&D for the future, then responsibilities and knowledge need to be handed off so others can do the work that needs to be done for the server. Overall, it's fine to explore different avenues and different passions, but as the founder of the living world, Arcadum has a responsibility to it. If that is something he wants to slowly be hands off, the system must be changed to support this. And that is everything. We have streamed for 10.5 hours. And we have finally read every single Twitlonger against Arkham, except this one made by Turtles as a viewer with 7 likes. Man, this drama's boring. Well, a lot of parts of it were very boring. I wanted to get through all of it for archival purposes, primarily, not entertainment purposes, but a lot of it I do think was entertaining, and I might cut up all of these streams into a 30-minute or an hour-long video with the funny parts, because there was a lot of funny parts, as Nick showed with his Among Us meme. But that is it. I did read his response. It took 8 minutes to read his response and 10 hours to read his accusations. Thank you all for watching. Very boring but interesting. That's an interesting contradiction. Thank you guys for watching. Later today, or another day, I will be streaming some video games on my second channel, Bo Black's Beta. So if you want to chill and relax and just talk with me, sub to this channel, as I stream here frequently. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you all for listening to me talk about this for as long as I did. I know most of you weren't here for all of it, but if anyone was here for majority of it, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the donations, and I will see you in another video. In particular,